But it was a fun thing to do. But the man who wore the suit, he was looking straight down because, he was on all fours. And then, we'd make like a stunt. Paul had this stunt version head, which was a lightweight one. And then you'd have your much more heavier animatronics head.
Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
I love it. I'm a fan of this. I'm here for it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe and Ryan.
That's right. I'm your host who's given explicit directions that when I die, I want a Viking funeral, but, one of those paddle boats that look like a duck. Joe Wakefield.
That would be pretty epic, dude. Do I have the honor of shooting the burning arrow?
Yeah, if you're not dead.
Sweet.
I just
okay.
have a feeling you're going to die before me. And it's going to be some silliness. It's not even going to be like dramatic. It's going to be like, yeah, Ryan, hit by a hang glider. How?
It happens. These things happen. Hit by a hang glider. Hi, guys. I'm Ryan.
Hey, guys. So if you're joining us for the first time, you might be asking what it is we do here. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you.
He does.
What we do here is kind of like a layer cake of paranormal and pop culture. So we have spooky stuff, which is cryptids, hauntings, myths, legends, things like that. Then we have our pop culture section. Sometimes we have celebrity guests, otherwise just genre news. After that, we have disclosure discussion, which is all about aliens. Finish it up with real world weird. When something is crazy and fun, but not quite paranormal and still strange, real world weird. That's what we end with. And that is the show.
And you nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah.
And we have a new episode every Thursday, and we are now in video format on YouTube. So remember to subscribe.
Yeah, that's right, guys. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube. We've been an audio podcast for about 120 episodes. Only the last 10 have been video. So now we're pushing the YouTube. So
that's
feel free to check that out. And there's actually kind of a lot to talk about, guys.
There is, actually.
So I'm going to start off this show with some important news. Almost all of the Ernest P. Worrell movies are now available digitally to purchase.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Ernest, do you remember Ernest? Come on, Ernest Scared Stupid. That was my favorite film. I wanted to ask you some questions about Ernest, Ryan, in light of this.
Dude, shoot.
Okay, and by the way, this is also because Jim Varney, I can't say his name. I'm mispronouncing it, but it's Jim Varney. It's his birthday. Like he would have.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do this little deep dive. I'm going to ask Ryan some questions off the top of my head that he probably won't get any of them. So let's see.
That's true.
Ryan, how many Ernest feature films were there?
I'm just going to shoot out a number here.
All right.
I'm going to say 7.
9.
I almost said 9, but I could only. I was in my head going, like I was thinking of all the ones I could think of, and I added a couple.
Right.
Like Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah.
Ernest Goes to Africa.
All right.
Ernest Goes to Camp.
Okay.
Ernest Saves Christmas.
All right.
Scared Stupid.
Yep. Do you want to know something funny?
Huh.
You got them all right, but they were like so out of order. So Ernest Goes to Africa was 1997, and it was the 8th film, I believe.
That was a good one.
Yeah. The first one was Ernest Goes to Camp. And
that was a great movie.
That was the first one.
That was probably the best.
Yeah. The second one was Ernest Saves Christmas. Yeah. And then Ernest Goes to Jail, followed by Ernest Scared Stupid. My personal favorite, Ernest Scared Stupid, 1991, was actually the 4th Ernest film.
Now, was it when he went to jail when he got the electricity powers? Remember that?
Yes, it was magnetic electricity powers because he was, framed for robbing a bank or something like that?
Yeah. And so he used his powers to get the bad guy. It was amazing.
I bet you guys didn't think we would do a deep dive on Ernest.
That's right. Cutting edge here at Earthling Entertainment.
All right. How about this, Ryan? How many of them were theatrically released?
Oh, goodness. Honestly, I really didn't. I'm going to say Scared Stupid. I'm going to say Saves Christmas. And just those 2. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ryan. There is actually the first 5 Ernest movies were in theaters.
The first, I was I only rented Ernest movies, so I was unaware of its theatrical release.
Well, you should have been in the know. So the first one was Ernest Goes to Camp in 1987. Then it was Ernest Saves.
That was when I was born.
Yeah, well, that's when that came out.
So
Uh, you threw me. I was one amateur.
well, then why didn't you go?
Well, fair enough. Ernest Saves Christmas, 1988. Ernest Goes to Jail, 1990. Ernest Scared Stupid, 1991. And Ernest Rides Again in 1993, which was
Rides Again. That was the biker one.
That's the one I don't remember, to be
I
perfectly
want to
frank.
say I do remember where he was like a biker. So maybe it was that one. I could be wrong.
I don't know. After that, we went to straight to video. Slam Dunk Ernest in 1995.
I remember that.
Yeah. Ernest Goes to Africa in
Yep,
1997.
that's a good
And
one.
finally, Ernest in the Army in 1998. That was the final Ernest movie.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
I know I saw that, but I could be confusing it with the Polly Shore Goes to the Army one.
In the Army now.
Yeah.
That movie's great. We're the few, the proud, the water boys.
What I remember about that movie is Tank Girl was in it.
That's right.
Yeah, Laura Petty, maybe?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. All right. Unrelated to any of that.
Completely.
Wanted to say happy birthday to Jim Varney fans. He also was Slinky Dog in the first two Toy Stories, which is another reason to bring him up since Toy Story 5 is coming out.
And that's true. And that one looks like it's going to be good because, as a parent who has kids who are addicted to technology, as we all are, it's a weird battle.
Yeah. Well, I hear good things. Like they're saying that this one is up there with like 3. Like it's a good one. And I don't know if that's true. I'm going to see it Sunday. So
not to throw too much.
I'll tell you next week if it was good.
Okay. Not to throw too much shade, but it can't be worse than 4. 4 had its moments, but man, it was a bad movie.
I liked 4. I didn't love 4. I didn't think 4 was like the greatest one, but I liked it. I put it in my ranking is kind of funny because I don't put the first one number 1. For me, number 2 is the best. Then
Interesting.
Then number 3. Then number then number 4, then number 1.
I like the first 3 consecutively. That's my order. 1, 2, and 3. That's how good I think they are. 1 is the best, 2 was great, 3 is awesome.
1 doesn't hold up as much as you think it does. The CGI and everything.
Oh, I watched it recently.
It's there's sharp angles.
Oh yeah. Like Scud is I heard there were so many different teams that were involved in just the dog, and it is the most dopey looking thing. It is hilarious. But that was, this kind of stuff hadn't been done before, and that's why they went with toys. And you only get to see a couple human skin because they didn't even know how to do. They had no clue how to render that.
What's really funny is if you think about it, the Toy Story, which was top of the line when it came out, is kind of equal to like the baby shows that are on with the CGI and stuff now.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. No, it's interesting.
CGI is rough.
Well, and then you go and revisit like a movie like, I know we're kind of going off on a weird tangent here, but Bug's Life, and how much better they did.
That was their second film.
Isn't that insane? Like the difference, like how much better they got.
Well, how about this? I think the third was Monsters Inc. and the hair on Sully.
It was incredible.
It was.
No, and that movie's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
You know what movie I loved?
What did you love, Joe?
Well, we both saw it, so I'm leading up to a movie, guys. Come on, go figure. We saw Disclosure Day. I told Ryan last week that he had to see it because we were going to spoil the crap out of it.
And not only did I see it, I saw it. Like I really, really dove in there. I really paid attention. And do you want to start?
Yeah. So, guys, we don't normally do like a full-on spoiler, but we are. This is actually its own little section today, an extra section. Ryan and I are going to speak very openly about this movie because, well, we obviously liked it, but also this is a paranormal podcast. So, like, this seems like if we're ever going to do a deep dive on a movie, this is the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture.
And I want to address that it did just come out this past weekend.
It did.
So,
which is why we're going to put a spoiler alert on the video.
On the video, and in the description as well, right at the top. I say we try to sneak that in there.
We can, but also it'll be labeled like spoiler as like its own little chapter. It'll be disclosure. I keep wanting to say disclosure discussion. It'll
Right,
be
I know,
disclosure
me too.
day.
I do too.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I called it disclosure day or disclosure discussion while doing the review. Yeah, like I had to edit
Amazing.
around certain things. It was kind of funny because I always shoot like I say it like 4 times
We-
and then I cut in between, and I always there was a few funny mistakes.
We do the show every week. So yeah, it's kind of part of our thing.
Yeah, it's true.
So
So guys, if you do not want to hear anything about Disclosure Day, skip ahead. You know what I mean? We'll put a timestamp in the description of the episode, and if you're a video watcher, it's going to say spoiler alert. And when that's gone, you're good to go. But we are going to jump in right now. So Ryan,
Joe,
what were your initial thoughts before actually seeing the film?
I was going into it because I couldn't help but hear. So I knew it was going to be a chase film. I knew
Yeah.
it was going to be a guy got this information and he's going to give it to the public because that's the right thing to do. And the
I mean,
government,
to be fair, the trailers did pretty much spell that out.
and the government's coming after him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but then it's like, but I knew there was going to be some big reveal, and I didn't know what to expect. I kind of expected something different. I expected like aliens were going to straight up land, where they were going to straight up come out. There was going to be this big thing. Like I imagined that, like in a way, like the whole world would absolutely stop, put down their phones, and you know what I mean?
All right,
And-
so you were like the day the Earth stood still kind of thing, like a demonstration where the aliens like, yo, we are here, hello.
But yeah, but I imagine it'd be a very peaceful thing. So I was already thinking about that.
Sure. So that
Um,
was what was in your head.
Correct. Yeah.
Right on. I didn't think I'd like it. This is kind of like the secret story I've been keeping hidden. Is it was Steven Spielberg and it was aliens. So I wanted to like it, but everything I saw in the trailer to me seemed like it was a thriller. I don't love thrillers and I hate suspense. I do not like waiting. It's annoying to me. When we are watching someone slowly walk down a hallway and everyone's like, oh man, the tension's building. Is there going to be something around the corner? I'm sitting there like, oh my God, where is the chase and how do I cut to it? Just how I feel.
No, and that's fair. You know what I mean? And
But hold on.
Yeah,
What I was
yeah.
going to say is it wasn't actually like that. It actually did keep my attention the whole time. It lulled a little bit in the beginning because it is, like Ryan mentioned, a chase film. And at one point, I laughed because it was like they're running and then they stopped so they could talk and give a little exposition. And then they get found. So then they run so they could find some place to stop and talk and get a little explanation. Like first one was they went to the nuns. And they did that. Then they went to a motel. And then they did that. Then they went to a farmhouse. They did that. And it's just like, all right, you're gonna get spoon feed us every 10 minutes after we get a little bit of a chase.
And I wasn't honestly. It's so funny. No, I'm honestly, I've been diving into a lot of stuff into the movie, preparing to talk about it today. But when I'm watching a movie, I just accept the movie. Like I don't like. It's so funny. I'm the worst reviewer. Because to me, I don't catch those things. Like one thing I wanted to mention that I was looking up at was, he's famous for his long shots, Steven Spielberg, right? Where he's filming a scene that goes from scene to scene to scene. There's so many actions, so many things that happen all in one shot. And like compared to Jaws, when he's getting on the ferry boat with the mayor and like the other politicians, it's one giant long shot. Well, we get that with her when she approaches the studio. We get her leaving the car, going all the way up, going up into the studio. And then she starts speaking Korean to this guy because at this point she's been unlocked and she has what I would call the gift of empathy, which was gifted to her by the aliens, which at this point we haven't learned why yet.
Yeah, so what Ryan's talking about is these characters are activated by what appears to be animals. And obviously they're not animals. They're either controlled by the aliens
Yeah.
or are the aliens in an animal form or
I thought
whatever's
yeah.
going on, the aliens activate them. And so, like Ryan said, she starts knowing every language, it seemed like. She also spoke Russian later on. And what he's talking about like the gift of empathy is if she looks at someone long enough, she like sees into their soul. And there was so many instances where she's just like, oh, just say you're sorry, bring her flowers, or
Call the
oh,
cops.
yeah, call the cops.
It's gone too long, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And then one woman, she straight up became what I perceived as her dead daughter. She literally became the envisionment of her dead daughter and was like, I love you, blah blah blah. And like the cop instantly just stopped, and I cried because like this movie honestly made me cry a lot. Like because it was just had a lot of heavy moments. I'm just being honest.
No, it's fine. It's funny because we're gonna call you Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
If I can be unlocked by a movie and cry, it doesn't bother me. I'm always like, wow, that movie moved me. And I'm not gonna lie, I did cry too, but I didn't cry till the end. And I'm gonna tell you about that when we get a little closer to the end. But no, I cried. I whined like a sad little man.
No, yeah, no.
It was beautiful.
But yeah, no, and like all the way leading up to the main scene from the trailer, which was her doing the alien language live on broadcast.
Sure.
And that was the end of that huge long shot. So she walked all the way up there, got makeup on. So you have the makeup artist coming in and doing it all in one shot. And then she speaks Korean live, like right there. She learned Korean, speaks. This actress is amazing. Does that, gets all ready, gets up there, starts doing the report, does the alien clip because she actually did them. I saw an interview with her where Steven came up to her and was like, we could fabricate that, or do you want to try? And she was like, I want to try.
Yeah, I'm going to do some weird clicks and
she said, yeah, they had 3 microphones. One was at her throat, one was in her, like at her face, and one was like right like on her mouth so that it got like every resonance of her doing that. And that's how they achieved that sound. And I just thought that was really cool. And so you get that you get all the Steven Spielberg you want out of this film. But like you said, yeah, we get a bit of a weird center because it is over a 2-hour movie. And I feel like when you're doing a movie over 2 hours, you're going to have a spot where it, if not done right, like you pointed out, it kind of felt like, okay, so we're running and now we're going to explain. Now we're running, now we're going to explain.
Well, it's about pacing. And it's funny because it being so long actually threw me because I went and saw it pretty early on a Sunday morning. I saw it like 10:15.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I got an interview set up by 3. It'll be fine. And I look at my phone and it's like, the movie will be over at like 1:30.
As it turns out, it was not fine.
It was a rush. But it all worked out.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. The pacing overall worked though. It was just that middle part. And so to get back in a little bit of the meat of the movie is you think they're not running from the government. They're running from a agency that was created by the government way back when, but has been on its own since like the 70s.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but they've stolen and re-engineered alien technology, and they want to use all the alien technology for the business reasons. Seems like it was a proprietary reasons, but I thought it was funny because they mentioned that. But they've never actually showed any version of them being like trying to make money. It seemed like the whole agency's their whole motivation was we don't think the world can handle it and society will break down. Religions will break down. People will riot. Their sense of existence will be over. People can't handle it. But at no point were they like, haha, and we use it to make computers and make money. They mentioned it, but they never showed it. Like it was just the guy, the protagonist is just like, oh, they want to keep it to themselves. For money. I don't know.
I
Me?
agree. No, I don't, like I said, it's hard for me to catch that kind of thing right off the bat. I've got to give this movie another watch for sure. I can't wait to see it again. But you mentioned earlier when they went to the convent with the nuns, the nunnery, and I thought there was a really profound quote, and I know it was biblical, so I'm going to butcher it. Forgive me. But it was basically, she's like, oh, well, it's talking about, that only God on earth. And she's like specifically on earth. So,
well, that was the thing is in the Bible, it says that man is the supreme being like created by God. And the nun corrects. And she said the supreme beings on earth. But I don't know enough about the Bible to know if that's actually the translation. But it wouldn't surprise me because there's a lot of translations that if you actually put in context mean something very different than people say they do. But that's all we'll say about that. We don't cover that in the show.
No, but either way, I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah.
I thought it was really nice. Like I love Steven Spielberg dialogue, honestly. I always have.
He's got the heart.
Yeah, it's always, yeah, it's got heart. And that's what I've actually told a lot of people who've asked me, like, oh, what do you think of the movie? And I always say that. I'm just like, it's Steven Spielberg, so it hits you in the feels. It's got the heart. No, walked out. So now flash forward. We have now, so we've done the chase, we've done everything. Now they're using these devices that they hold on to.
Yeah.
And they don't.
You had a real problem with this.
I didn't have a real problem. It was just I wish I had more explanation to it.
May I jump in?
You may.
Okay. So they have a cylinder device, and they've said that like there's 3 of them, and one of them the protagonist stole, the other one the agency has, and then the third one is kind of by the other group of protagonists. But the point is, it's kind of like a cylinder that they hold, and they seem to be able to jump into your mind and control you, but only if you haven't been an experiencer, if you weren't abducted by aliens, which just kind of seemed like a throwaway line to be like, that's why they can't do it to him. But it worked out. It was fine.
What I liked was them hiding everything in the room, like before they went to bed, like anything that marked like their location and stuff like that. And honestly, that kind of tripped me out a little bit, where I'm like, man, that is kind of freaky. Like when you think about that.
Oh man,
like,
you hold your phone and they could tell exactly where you are. Oh, exactly. Ryan, I'm going to tell you something. Did you know that Pokemon Go this entire time was training AI delivery robots?
I figured, yeah. I knew it had to do with something. Niantic sold it a long time ago.
Yeah, but they sold it and invested in a robot company that does deliveries. So they basically got research for walkable paths and landmarks. You know how you got points for getting certain landmarks and things?
Yeah.
It was all to train an AI how to walk around in robot form.
For a while there, up until Pokemon Goers started being like, okay, we're not gonna just do this work for you. One of the things they would have you do was like, go to this park, and then you go to the park and it's like, turn on your camera. You turn on the camera and be like, go slowly around the park. Like it was making us straight up map it.
That's
like in real time. Like
that's horrible.
Yeah, not just GPS, but like vision as well. Like
anyways,
no.
we digress. Back to Disclosure Day real quick.
You mentioned Pokemon Go, sorry.
I did. So what I liked is they took a lot of things that are supposedly what happened in actual history and put it in the film. So their reasoning why this agency branched off and was no longer controlled by the government was because there is an actual alien story. I mentioned this in my review, but Richard Nixon, because he was big friends of Jackie Gleason, which was the main actor from the 50s from The Honeymooners, took him to see alien bodies, whether it was to impress him or just be like, whatever the reason was.
Well, they said it was, I heard it because they were drunk.
They were drunk.
They were major whiskey drinkers.
But I mean, Jackie Gleason, whatever he saw for the rest of his life, was a believer. And this is like, people believe this happened. Well, it was in the movie. And there's a bunch of other things in the movie that are straight from ufology and history.
They did the Roswell incident.
They did a lot of good stuff. Well, I mean, you had to do Roswell, but
I love that he showed us the rest of the Tic Tacs, because from the Go Fast video where he's like, "Whoa, I got him," that one, and then you hear the other pilot be like, "There's a whole fleet of them." So we get to see the fleet in this, and then we get to see this amazing. Well, and obviously, guys, we kind of skipped forward here, but yeah, this was the big disclosure when they finally get there, and this was one thing that I did find kind of interesting is the big bad guy who's been doing all these things to try to get there, gets into the studio, and then just kind of goes,
well, we lost.
Just shrugs his shoulders, like just kind of sat down and was like, man.
I think it was going to imply that at this point, Emily Blunt, who's the main protagonist with the gentleman, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but they get to the studio. They're going to disclose all the information with the big reveal of they actually have an alien that they're going to bring on stage to be recorded and all this stuff. So they're all set up to do it. The agency comes in, they cut out the power and like destroy it. And then Emily Blunt is given one of those objects Ryan was talking about earlier.
Yes.
And just turns the power back on. And that's when the guy's like, oh,
yep,
and nothing I can do now.
She's got the power.
It is kind of funny because it's like if it wasn't a Steven Spielberg movie, he would just shoot her in the head, right? Like exactly.
The end.
Yeah, done.
Roll credits.
But he was moved by the moment, maybe.
Yeah. And I want to say before we get to the end, we kind of skipped over one quick part, which was
I
very.
wasn't trying to go into order. You never were.
Oh, okay. No, I'm bad about order. The part where the entire time we've got this one character, I forget his name, but he's really, really involved. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
And the whole time he has constructed her house, her like childhood.
Oh, dude,
house.
you know who that was? Hugo Wakefield. That character's name was Hugo Wakefield. So, guys, this is a character who was part of the agency that was trying to keep aliens under wraps, but for several years was planning this coup.
Do you think he was an alien?
No, not at all.
No?
No, not even a little bit.
Okay.
No, it was very clear.
I wasn't sure. I'm not going to lie, because he was kind of weird.
It just boggles my mind that was your interpretation.
I wasn't sure. I still am not.
All right, guys. Hugo Wakefield was not an alien. Spoilers.
Stranger things have happened. Anyways,
but that I mean, the movie is basically the protagonists steal the information, everything about aliens from the agency. The agency chases them throughout the entire movie. You need the two protagonists to translate for aliens to humans because she can understand the alien and then he could understand her and then he could tell it to humans.
He can understand the mathematical language. She has the gift of empathy.
In any case, they need the two humans to talk to humans.
And they were both unlocked when they were children. And that was the point of Hugo building the house, was to unlock their memory of being abducted when they were kids. And then we see
he's right. I was just going to streamline it.
Then we see this device that has a bunch of the devices they were holding in their face.
Okay.
And that's what unlocked it.
All right. So when they were children, they were abducted by aliens, like Ryan said. And the thing that people were holding, the three devices that we mentioned, were basically fingers of the alien device that when they're on the table comes down, gets over their face, and like Ryan said, originally activated them. So it's implied that the agency was able to either get a piece of it or recreate it, but it's a smaller thing compared to the magicalness of the alien one.
Right. Yeah. And so it just that makes me think that all right, so let's just jump to the end.
I thought we did. Continue.
No, we haven't, not yet. So they're standing there, they're about, she's turned on the power, and then they bring out an old alien on a wheelchair with like a whole sealed enclosure around it. They open it up and
they made it seem like he was from a crash from the 70s.
Yes.
He was in like a airtight, whatever atmosphere.
So
tent.
He stands and he approaches the dude who understands the language of math, speaks to him. He whispers it to her. She looks dead nuts at the camera and goes, "Listen." Roll credits.
Yeah, but
that's what we got.
Yeah, but that's how it had to end, because what are you going to say? Is Steven Spielberg going to be pretentious enough to be like, here's the answer, humanity? The whole idea is we don't know what the answer is because we're dumb.
He knows.
Well, if anyone knows, Steven Spielberg might.
That's what I'm saying. Come on. He's been shown some shit. I honestly, I cried looking at a lot of the revealed footage.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because I felt like it was real. Like obviously it wasn't, you know what I mean? It was reenacted, but I believe this was real footage that was shown to Steven Spielberg, because I am a believer that this movie is kind of...
So you think he recreated? This is his confession of the things he knows?
Yes, and I believe it's in tandem with the government in a way. With
to
certain
get people
agencies.
To not lose their crap, because it's going to happen soon.
Exactly. So this is another soft leak, if you will. It's just getting us ready. I truly believe that. I really do.
See, the ending really did move me. So when they two protagonists, like we said, are at the news station and they start revealing all the information, they start showing these videos, they're broadcasting from Kansas City, and then all the affiliates start picking it up, and then people around the world start picking it up, and they're just showing different montages of these extraterrestrial events that Ryan had said a lot of them are real and then expanded upon. They're recreations of the real ones that are expanded upon. And I do like your theory, by the way.
And forgive me, may I just real quick? And by the way, the whole movie, I didn't even realize this. I heard about this on like TikTok afterwards. The entire time in the movie, there's World War III news in the background. I never noticed while watching. So the
You
entire
didn't notice that?
I did not.
Okay,
I don't
so
know how I
they
didn't.
were like the whole doing like the 5 minutes to midnight thing, where basically, like the world was on the brink of breaking out into a world war. So that's why people were rioting at the gas station when Emily Blunt gets out, is because they were like in water
Yeah.
and supplies. Yeah, the whole So basically,
I got that.
well,
I
we
was.
were on. Well, why do you think they were doing
I
that?
don't know. I guess I just didn't put two and two together at the time.
You also thought Hugo Wakefield was a fucking alien.
He could be.
Wasn't.
Anyways,
It was so clear.
but anyways, so I literally my end. I guess since we've done the whole thing, I will say so. Yeah, and the whole world was at war the entire time, and then we get people staring at their phones at the end. And like I said, this was kind of the ending I wasn't expecting. Is we had kind of emotionless reactions. Like we had a bunch of like it shows a bunch of Korean soldiers all staring at their phones.
Everyone around the world was. Everyone
Yeah.
was dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It just, to me, I was hoping for more of a not phones unifying us all, but like,
It wasn't necessarily unifying us all. The whole point is, in my mind, you remember the top in the end of Inception, where it just kept spinning and they cut before you knew whether it was a dream or not. Well, the whole idea is we don't know how the human race is going to react. We're seeing them get shocked. We don't know if everything's going to fall apart or stay together. They weren't telling us.
that's true.
That was my interpretation.
No,
of
no.
it.
And trust me, like I said, in the heat of the moment, like I said, when I'm watching a movie, I just get that movie. So
Yeah.
like, I literally wasn't critiquing a thing. I was just enjoying the movie. But yeah, thinking afterwards, but then again, I see people talking about it online and stuff. And I'm like, that is interesting. Because yeah, that's what we get reaction wise of people. Like we don't get to see it yet. And I guess, like you said, that's part of the mystery. It's part of the point. He can't guess exactly at what people are going to do.
Who knows what people do, but I know what I felt is, like I was saying, is when we're seeing all this footage of all these alien events and all of these things, is I don't know why, but it did. That's what made me cry. Is for me, I mean, the reason why we do the podcast is we love aliens, but it goes deeper for a lot of us out there. Is my dad actually was a MUFON investigator, a field investigator, and
right.
he loved aliens and showed me stuff. And it was just when I was really little, we were watching X-Files and I was getting scared horrible, and I'm like, no, it's fine, Dad, I'm into this. You know what I mean? Like it was the idea of disclosure is something like he always wanted to see, and people die, so he's
Yeah.
not going to ever see it. So it's like, to me, it was just like,
I know.
my dad would have loved to see this.
And I'll admit there was a part of me that walked away from the movie a little frustrated, and it's not the movie's fault. It's the fault of being a ufologist. I feel like, in this, when you're into this, there is a constant frustration that you're kind of dealing with, right? Because you just want it. Like I've been yelling it for the past couple episodes. Show us the alien. Damn it, we want to see it.
Well, this movie did. You got
And
to
it
see.
did.
You got to see gray aliens from like
Oh, man,
different things. Oh, it was great. And they
got to
didn't
see
hide
when
it. And
all
it wasn't
hurt.
just at the end. Yeah,
It was
I
all
love-
hurt from the crash.
I
I
love
felt
that.
bad. I cried for that alien. I did.
awesome.
I did. You're
All
right.
right.
I am Kevin Smith.
But we got to be honest, man. We got to move on.
Okay.
we got to move on. We have a lot of show to do.
We
and
do.
All right.
That was a big intro.
Well, to be fair, I said it would be its own segment. Guys, spoiler over. But if you like movies and you like Disclosure Day and you like Steven Spielberg, see Disclosure Day, I should say.
That's right.
We loved it. And I got to see it at MJR. And here's a little message from them.
Don't just see the movies, experience the movies in IMAX at the MJR Troy and MJR Southgate Cinemas. See the movies like never before in stunning 4K laser IMAX projection on a massive screen. Feel the movies with heart-pounding IMAX precision sound and experience true movie-going bliss in our fully powered luxury recliner seats. Get your IMAX tickets at mjrtheaters.com for the world's most immersive film experience. Now featured at the MJR Troy and Southgate Cinemas.
Yeah, so go to the movies. And if you're in Michigan, go to MJR.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So we spent a lot of time, so we're just going to jump right into our first official segment, guys, which is, of course,
Spoiler
Spooky stuff.
The Mamlambo.
Yeah. In college I was known as the Mamlambo, but it was for a
Sorry,
completely
there's no
different
B.
reason.
So it's the Mamlambo.
Oh.
Mamlambo.
Well, then I was not known as that.
In the deep rural stretches of South Africa's Eastern Cape, where winding rivers cut through valleys and cattle graze along muddy banks, stories of a powerful water spirit have passed from generation to generation. The Mamlambo is a cryptid that appears in South African and Zulu folklore, known to the natives as the brain sucker.
Damn.
This is a good one.
That's unfortunate. It
Oh, yeah.
reminds me of Starship Troopers, at the end of
Sucked his brains out.
That's right. Rico's Roughnecks.
Only
Rico's Roughnecks.
Rico's Roughnecks.
Huh. Michael Ironside.
Dude, yeah. Come on, you want to live forever? Only known to emerge at night, this quasi-reptilian monstrosity terrorized the villages around the Zintlava River in South Africa. It was notorious for dragging victims into its murky depths, where it would devour their faces in order to consume their brains.
Okay, so besides the eating the face and the brains thing,
Uh-huh.
it just kind of sounds like, a crocodile does that. Actually,
Right.
crocodile's worse, man. A crocodile will like kind of kill you, but then drag you under a bunch of muds and logs and you gotta kind of just twitch and die slowly.
And right, and if it can't do that, it'll just do a death roll and just twist off a piece of you and be like, I'm good with this. You can keep the rest.
But then again, brain sucking.
Brain sucking. So there are also some who believe the Mamlambo is a deity and call her the goddess of rivers. For communities along Zintlava River, the Mamlambo is not a curiosity. It is a warning, a presence woven into the landscape and invoked whenever the river claims another life.
Totes.
The Mamlambo inhabits the Zintlava River and has been described by eyewitnesses as being an astounding 20 meters in length. Other descriptions include a long tail, 4 stubby legs, a crocodilian torso, a serpentine neck, and a horse-like head. And that is actually the most common depiction of it.
Yeah, so it seems a little bit kind of like a cross between Nessie and a crocodile. It's weird that it's
With a horse.
With a horse head. But it's weird that it sucks out your brains. Like,
Mhm.
that's kind of what makes it strange. Like, there are sea creatures. It's a river creature. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But why is it specifically sucking out brains? Because I feel like that's
They're
not enough.
delicious.
Well, it is. I mean, talk to the people from Indiana Jones Part 2. But seriously, though, do you get enough calories from brains? And it just feels like you're wasting a
You're
lot.
worried about calories.
You get a lot. You waste a lot of meat.
Now,
I mean,
what
just toss it to
are the vitamins
It'd be like,
involved?
well, like Milo and Otis.
Dude, Milo and Otis is a horrible.
It's true, but we'll get back to that. What I'm saying is, like, what if there's some weird symbiotic relationship where it's like this Mamlambo or whatever, and it's just like, and Gary, the wolf that follows him around and eats the bodies after he's done with the brains.
It's
Mamlambo and Gary.
It's always scary.
I don't know. Gary to me is the name of the man who does the shenanigans.
All right,
Just forever.
Gary.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I never met a Gary to put a face to, but in my head it's just Gary. In particular, there is a show called the DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
In the later seasons, there's a character named Gary, and he is just the goofy, fumbling guy. And at one point, he has like nipples that are making people like hypnotized, and they're getting hypnotized. There's a lot of weird things.
Hypnotized.
That show went weird, man. It was awesome.
I was gonna say it sounds like right up your alley.
Yeah, there was this weird teddy bear that became a deity in Viking history.
Joe is worried about a chase scene in Closure Day, and this is the kind of stuff he likes.
Well, move on.
It has been suggested that this animal may also be bioluminescent, and I actually did see a lot of examples of this.
Hey, man, glow.
And
Let your freak flag fly.
that's right. An elder named Matshunga claimed it is a big snake, and I have seen what it does. It has the head and neck of a snake and shines at night with a green light. So, like I said, usually depicted with a horse head, but this is an eyewitness who said it looked to him reptilian.
Yeah, well, if it had a long neck and it was just coming out of a river, it could have looked like a snake to him.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I think as well. Like we have to remember in the moment we haven't talked about this in a long time. We used to about remember how you're going to act in the moment. It's easy to listen to these stories and be like, oh well, he thought it looked like a snake, so that's what he was petrified. It was probably the middle of the night. He was probably maybe going to the bathroom, whizzing on a tree, and then this
As
thing
one
comes
does
out
by a river.
and, you know what I'm saying? So he was freaked out. So you're not going to be that accurate. And memory sucks. Let's face it. So so witnesses have also claimed that this animal has two gleaming green eyes, which, according to native legend, possess the power to mesmerize anyone unfortunate enough to make eye contact with the beast.
It's like deer in headlights.
Yeah, pretty much. No, and
or the basilisk from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
That's right, the basilisk, or like an anglerfish's light luring its prey to its mouth.
Oh yeah, or like a bug zapper.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
The Mamlambo is notorious for dragging its victims into its watery domain, where it proceeds to drown them. Once its prey has perished, the Mamlambo then cracks open the skull of its victim, proceeds to siphon the brains, and ultimately all of the blood from the corpse.
Num 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 brains.
Mamlambo sightings have occurred for a long time and always increase when the swelling of the Zintlava River happens during the heavy rains of the Lesotho wet season.
Okay, so where does it come from then? Because if it gets the heavy
Maybe
rains,
it burrows.
maybe like a mud puppy or something.
Mhm.
I was thinking more like it came down river, but I like your version because I want to go up river.
Because that makes sense. What if it's just like, it's not really big enough for me to drown people right now?
So
Bummer.
I'm just gonna just lay in the
I'm gonna
mud
wait.
and hibernate.
I'll just get muddy,
Oh, that's even creepier.
right? It's just
Yeah.
waiting to drown.
That is based on nothing, but in my head, that is what this creature does now.
Well, it makes sense, right? So maybe it like drowns you so like your skin softens so it can, because remember, it gets through the face. Like it gets through your face.
It's going after brains. You have a skull that pretty much surrounds your brain. So I feel like
That's
no matter
true.
how, like you don't need to soften any part. You just need to crack that.
Like
nut.
he's got some like giant nutcracker.
Yeah. Oh, like the ones your grandmother had way back in the
Yeah.
day, like the two metal chopstick looking ones are just like.
That's right. This human is a tough one. Not bad. Not
No,
bad.
This one was all skull.
No brains in this one,
Must be a politician.
as it
all right.
picks me up.
Move
The
on.
villagers who reside near the ominous river claim they were not merely superstitious tribesmen, but educated people that had been terrorized by this mysterious entity.
Yeah, when a witness has to like quantify their thing by being like, "Hey, dude, I went to school, so not enough."
Yeah, F you.
Yeah.
So the earliest documented reports of the Mamlambo appear in colonial records from the late 19th century, when missionaries and settlers began cataloging local beliefs. Even then, the creature was described as enormous, over 20 feet long, capable of dragging livestock or unsuspecting travelers beneath the surface.
Not too bad of an ass either.
The tales varied, but the core details remained. It favored deep, slow-moving water. It appeared mostly at night, and those who encountered it rarely survived. Villagers often interpreted sudden drownings or unexplained disappearances as sign that the Mamlambo had taken someone, especially during the seasons when the rivers swelled with rain. In 1997, South African newspapers.
Oh, that's the year Ernest went to Africa.
nice.
That's his then Africa. See, it's full
Tying
circle.
it right
We're
together.
It was all planned.
Thank God he wasn't eaten by a Mamlambo. Could have happened. Could have sucked his brains out. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like I can just hear Ernest right now. Like,
Sure, lung
that is
cancer was
one
way better.
ugly monster. Like, look at that. Like, I can totally, I can hear
That
him.
was a pretty good Ernest.
Thank you. Thank you. Like,
Don't smoke a pack a day.
oh, and he did.
Oh,
He did.
Yeah.
That man chain smoked.
Like,
Like,
he said in between every shot. he
yeah,
was,
I saw clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? So in 1997, South African newspapers, including Johannesburg's The Star and Cape Town's Cape Argus, reported on sightings of a giant reptile monster in the Zentlava River near Mount Islet in South Africa. Villagers in the area claim that the creature was about 20 meters long, had the head of a horse, lower body of a fish, short legs, and the neck of a snake, and that it
How do you
shined
have
with
lower bodies of a fish and legs?
it's just like that. It's a fish with legs, bro. It's a fish with legs. Science. And that it had shined with a green light at night during the period during January and April.
That seems like a really crappy evolutionary thing.
Right.
If you're a predator, you shouldn't shine. I mean, I get that we talked about like luring in prey,
right?
But like, what kind of prey is something that big gonna lure in with a light? Because it's going after brains, and it's Africa. So I don't know what is there something by the river like a gazelle? I mean, I don't know.
It screams to me an old evolutionary weapon. So this to me seems like an animal that is the last of its kind. And this is some kind of we see bioluminescence often, obviously creatures at the bottom of the sea. We see them with fireflies and stuff like that. So it's not too crazy to think that another animal could have developed something like that. Maybe it benefited them in the past. Maybe there was a certain kind of animal that attracted. I don't know.
It's giant sloths love that shit.
And they say those might even still be around.
That's my point.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Made your case.
Yeah. So between January and April 1997, as many as 9 deaths were actually attributed to the Mamlambo. In other Zulu traditions, the Mamlambo is revered as a powerful river goddess and a deity of beer. In these traditions,
are you serious?
I am dead serious. I had to include this because I'm like, there are some people that just look at that beer glass half full. In these traditions, she is seen as a bringer of wealth.
I kind of hope you got my facial reaction on that one.
She is closely associated with prosperity, financial gain, and increased livestock, and evidently beer. Followers of these traditions practice python worship. In this context,
python worship?
Yes. In this context, the Mamlambo is sometimes associated with a large python. Legend states that actually keeping and caring for this kind of snake can bring great wealth to its owner, though it does require strict rituals.
I had a boa constrictor. It didn't bring me crap. In fact, that was the poorest I ever was in life.
Well, that was your problem. It was
the early 20s, and we had that townhouse in that horrible neighborhood. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. That's good times.
No, it should have been because it wasn't a python.
Oh, yeah. Boa constrictors, they screw up your life, but pythons.
Were you doing the rituals right, at least?
Dude, I don't know.
You weren't then.
It was years ago.
If you have to ask, you'll never know.
You're right.
Thank you, Angelica.
So there you have it. That was our spooky stuff for this week. Woo! Ryan, you found a good one. Brain sucker.
Thank you.
Cool. I always think if there was this weird Star Wars book where Luke Skywalker went on a planet and there was these weird spider things that fell on your head and like drilled in and like sucked out your brains.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'll show it to you later.
That's sweet.
Yeah. I guess I don't really know why I brought that up.
I love it. I'm glad that you did, because now I have a new book to read.
No, that's why I brought it up, because we are actually got a really cool interview, guys. Shaune Harrison, who is an amazing special effects makeup artist.
He really is, guys.
He's done some crazy stuff, but he actually worked on a Star Wars.
Yes.
He worked on Star Wars Episode 1 and Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, as well as Harry Potter and a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to name it because Ryan has a whole intro he's about to read, and he's literally going to repeat what I just said. So, Ryan, take it away.
On this week's episode, Joe had the chance to sit down with special makeup effects artist Shaune Harrison. Over the years, Shaune has worked on an incredible list of projects, including Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the Harry Potter films, World War Z, Game of Thrones, Ginger Snaps, and Sleepy Hollow. From creatures and animatronics to prosthetics and makeup effects, he helped create some of the most memorable characters and monsters in modern film. Here's Joe's conversation with Shaune Harrison.
Hey guys, I'm sitting here with Shaune Harrison, and he is a makeup effects artist, a sculptor, a creator of dreams, if you will. Do you think that'd be fair to say?
Yeah, and nightmares as well.
Well, see, for a lot of us here, especially on this show, nightmares can be our dreams. We like monsters. We like the creepy stuff.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's all I've ever known really is monsters and, demons and things like that since I was a little kid. So yeah, no, I love it.
Absolutely. Can we run through a few of your credits? You have worked on Nightbreed, Ginger Snap, Sleepy Hollow, Fifth Element, The Mummy, Star Wars Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 2, a bunch of the Harry Potter movies, Stardust, Sunshine. I mean, my God, where does it end?
I know. And obviously I spent 10 years on Harry Potter. Nightbreed was my first film, the first feature back in 1988. So, it was a cool one to do. It's become a bit of a cult classic, I'd imagine now. But yeah, no, we've done some pretty cool films in the past here.
Absolutely. And Nightbreed is one of my favorites. I'm a big Clive Barker fan. And I was just curious, were there any monster designs on Nightbreed that you thought deserved more screen time than they actually got?
To be honest, I mean, what happened was, because I came on board that film as a trainee, and then halfway through it, everyone was then put on, anyone who was around, literally in the workshop, was applying prosthetics. So I went from not knowing hardly anything to going on set and applying creature makeups every day. I mean, we had, generally there was about 20, 30 main characters in prosthetics. And the great thing about Bob Keane, who's my boss at Image Animation, he would just say, right, let's all make a creature today. Let's all put something together. So, we built a lot of creatures that were never seen. I mean, I took, photos of some of them. I didn't have photos of other ones. And then when you watch the finished film, you're like, what happened? Because I remember me and my friend Mark Jones made this giant frog creature. We spent all night, worked for the night, putting this whole thing together. We had it on set. Clive loved it and then said, I don't know where I can fit into the film. So can we just have it dead on the corner? So and the camera kind of goes past when all the midians collapsing and the creature's literally there for a microsecond. But, we love making monsters, so I can't complain.
I don't know, man. Even having it in the corner, that's fun because you have a story now of just like, man, all the things that could have done and it just sat.
Yeah. It was one of them things. What we used to do was we used to have bags and bags of foam latex monsters. And Bob would say, just pull a whole bunch together and make a new creature out of it. So your imagination would then kind of run, wild, and you just kind of come up with the craziest creatures you could do sometimes in 24 hours.
Yeah. Wow. It's like kit bashing, but with creatures.
Yeah. And it was a great place to learn image animation because of that way. You'd be thrown in somewhere and they would say, just try and build something, make this, sculpt this, design this. We didn't have, I was 20 when I started and I'd kind of worked at home, in my bedroom making stuff for myself. But Nightbreed was the first film I'd worked on. So, but I was surrounded by a lot of people who all had the same ideas. So you just fed off each other, which was amazing.
Yeah, well, given the final product, what I would consider a masterpiece, is there anything, if it was remade today, that you would insist would have to stay practical? Because, we give away to a lot of CGI nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, all the main characters should be prosthetic makeups. Absolutely, Narcisse, Kinski, even Boone. The thing with Boone's makeup was that was a Chris Halls, who then became this director, Chris Cunningham, quite a famous video director. And Little John, now known John Cormicon, they worked on the Boone character, and that was a really hard. I would imagine now that would be probably a digital makeup because there's a lot of things that move around on his face all the time. In one way, I'd love it to be remade. I'd love the whole because the scale was there, but we just didn't have. Me personally, I didn't think we had the experience to make such a massive epic monster film, especially from the kind, we were all young, early 20s kids, really. But it would just be full of CGI monsters. We did a lot of stop motion stuff. A lot of it was cut out. And again, with Image Animation, they went through and they built all the stop motion stuff as well. So my friend Mark and Howard, they were sculpting all the little maquettes that became creatures and stop motion creatures. So that would all be digital, I'd imagine, nowadays. which is a shame.
I tend to agree with that. But, creating things is such a craft. I mean, that's why we wanted to talk to you. And I was wondering if all the weird and gross, whether it's wounds or whatever, what is the most disgusting thing you've ever created, in your opinion?
Usually it's when you're doing something that's very gory. If you're killing someone in a very extreme way, and you're on set and you're doing the makeup and you're even puppeteering it, that I find quite hard to watch sometimes. We did a film a few years back called Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. It was a super low budget film, but we had to do a killing at the beginning of the movie where the lady is beaten really badly and then she's scalped and then the skin is slowly peeled off while she's bleeding. So me and my wife, Paula, who we have our own company together, we're pumping the blood through and the actress is screaming and all her kind of torso's torn open. And it was quite a grim thing to work on because, this poor actress is screaming her lungs out and we're thinking, I hope she's actually okay because, we had a fake, really lovely, we made this lovely fake knife, and we didn't want to do blood tubing on the knife. We wanted the blood tubing all inside here. So we made this kind of 3-layered prosthetic. So when the skin is pulled back, you can see all their kind of muscle underneath the head as well. So, I mean, that was a fun thing to do. You do get to make some kind of fun killings in these type of movies.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Some of the lower budget ones, I don't know. There's a little bit more of freedom, it feels like, because you're just owning what you are. And that's not the only, they call it the Twisted Fairy Tale Universe film you've done. You also did Blood and Honey 2, I believe. And was it Pinocchio Unstrung?
Yeah. So we did Blood and Honey 2, which, I mean, that was a lot of work. I'd never done something that low as in terms of budgets before. So it was a bit of a shock. And we did it kind of as a favor to the cameraman who we knew worked on other projects. And that was a kind of a bit of a shock to the system because they wanted so much stuff in kind of so little time. And then obviously by the time then we finished that, then we did Peter Pan, it got a bit easier. But then when we did Pinocchio, I mean, Todd Masters did an amazing job on the animatronic puppet. And then we basically did everything else. We did other puppets. We did a ton of gore gags. We did trees. We did the birthing pods for Pinocchio. We did fake silicon bodies. I mean, that's the most we've done on these films. I mean, that was combined was a massive amount of work. And that was about 5 months work. But I think we filmed that nearly 2 years ago. It's taken a long time. We were on that mid-2024 working on that film, doing all the workshop stuff before we filmed it. So yeah, it feels like it's been a long time before it comes out.
I mean, the nature of filmmaking, right? I mean, at least it wasn't shelved for 5 years. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. I've only worked on one film, which was the original version of Mutant Chronicles, which obviously it did happen, but one was going to happen with Stephen Norrington directing it. We were on it for about 3 months and then they pulled the plug and Steve then went on to do Blade, which, was an amazing vampire film. But yeah, that's the only time I've worked on a project where, we were kind of halfway through the build when it just got pulled, which was a shame. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always remember Superman Lives, the Tim Burton Superman movie that got pulled like a day before they started filming.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I was well aware of a lot of your work, but one thing that surprised me is you did one of my favorite movies. And once again, we're going to stick on the low budget rant for a little bit here. Ginger Snaps, which I consider one of my favorite werewolf movies ever, honestly. Could you please tell me a little bit about your experience? And also, why do you think that werewolf movie in particular is still resonant? Like, people still care about it 25 years later when others have come and gone.
I think the main thing is the storyline, with the sisters, and using the werewolf as a different feel, in the way that the girls think it's the reason they're changing is because their bodies are changing, not that they've actually, they've been attacked by a werewolf. The script was brilliant. And I remember being called up, this was going back 25 years. So me and my ex we'd worked on, I think we'd just done Star Wars Phantom Menace, but obviously it hadn't come out at that point. So then we flew over to Toronto to build the werewolf with working for Paul Jones Effects in Toronto. And so we were handed to build the actual main suit. And then we did the kind of the werewolf you see very fleetingly at the beginning. We did that suit and then some of the gore gags as well with it. Because I think Paul wanted to use it as much as possible while we were out there. And John, the director, was brilliant. John Fawcett, he was amazing, and he was like, you guys worked on Star Wars and blah, we're like, yeah, we can't tell you anything about it because it's not out for the year. But it was great. I mean, yeah, it's weird because that film, there's a lot of people have asked us, and said to us that's our favorite werewolf film, and I'm like, oh wow, really? That's interesting. But I mean, I love it. I love the dark humor of it as well, And that's a type of film that could get remade nowadays. I hadn't actually I've not seen the remakes. I know they rebooted it again.
They had like 2 sequels. One was kind of a reboot because it took place 200 years earlier or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. But it was a fun thing to do. And, the guy who wore the suit, I can't remember his name now, unfortunately, but the man who wore the suit, he was looking straight down because, he was on all fours. So his head came up. So when he was walking on all fours, he's literally looking at the ground. So all he can see is his own feet walking as he's, prowling through the sets. But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. And, it's amazing that you've mentioned it because when you sometimes talk to people like, what's Ginger Snaps? And it's like, check it out. It's a really cool film.
It's fantastic. And I only had it on DVD for such a long time. I assume because of some rights issues, but it finally was re-released for the 25th anniversary digitally. So now I own it on Blu-ray, DVD, and on Fandango at home.
And funny enough, somewhere in this, I've got an old video cassette tape of a lot of the behind the scenes, which I need to transfer over to digital because obviously I don't have a video cassette player anymore. But there was a lot of filming. There's a friend of mine called Pat Baxter, who's brilliant, and he's just worked recently on Alien Earth TV show. And he did a lot of the filming and sent me this really great videotape just after they'd finished shooting. And I'd love to rewatch it. I just want to see how it all looked because there was a lot of behind the scenes in the workshop. But yeah, if I ever dig that out, I'm going to try and get that digitized and kind of put online.
I mean, honestly, I want to see it, so I hope you do. I mean, I hope we're one of the first calls when that resurfaces.
Okay, deal. Yeah.
So, in Ginger Snaps, when the guy is in the suit, how much of that design, the design of the suit, how it functions, was in collaboration with the actor, or was it all just, well, we made it, how do put it on?
Yeah, well, the first thing you obviously do is, once the script's you then work out what the werewolf is. It bipedal? Is it on all fours? Is it, is it the American Werewolf version or the Howling version where they're standing up? So when we had it was on all fours, it's a running werewolf. I think he was a stunt guy, so he was well aware because you want someone who's built for stamina and they're willing to get inside this. We had arm and leg extensions, so the performer would always work and play around and test the extensions just to know he would feel comfortable. Then I think as the head, because I think Paul Jones mechanized the head. So once the head was mechanized, he would be brought in. Then we would test it without the skin on, and then with the skin on. We'd always have a test skin just because, when you have foam rubber, it can buckle, it can rip. So you're forever adding little fabric areas in there to make sure it doesn't rip. But also we didn't have the help of having a lot of fur on there. It was a very fine kind of, it looked like a hairless rat is kind of what the idea we were going for.
It felt chupacabra like almost.
Yes, yeah. So that was quite difficult in where we were trying to hide stuff. We wanted to hide, seams and stuff. So we were like, okay, we have to be very clever. But we painted a lot of bruising. One of the things I saw was if someone changes into another creature, your skin's going to bruise. And there was a hell of a lot of bruising on the body, which kind of you don't see that well in the shots because it was quite dark in some of the air. But, we spent a lot of time putting bruises on the ribs and, on the arms and stuff. And then, we'd make like a stunt. Paul had this stunt version head, which was a lightweight one. and then you have your much more heavier animatronics head. So, you know, the actor, with anything like suit work, they've got to kind of call the shots. If they need to get out, we need to get them out. And, you know, you don't generally completely pull them out of it. You just open up, get the air in there, let him rest, and then, right, get back to it again.
Sure. You know,
Yeah.
I now that we have the 4K version out there, I'm going to see if I can spot these bruises. That's pretty awesome.
Cool. And have a look at the werewolf at the beginning, because it was a really cool werewolf. It was sculpted perfectly with a really evil frown and muzzle, you know, because we knew it was only going to be seconds in the film.
Yeah,
so
just a little. Bam.
Yeah. So a lot more. So it was the original suit. We had the original sculpt for Ginger we used for that one, but we made a brand new head, and we made it much browner, darks, and, you know, much more heavier tones on there, just so obviously no one thought it was the same suit.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, not just horror. You've obviously done a lot of sci-fi. We've already mentioned Star Wars a few times, but what about The Fifth Element? You were credited as a sculptor on that film, and I wanted to know, what was the coolest thing you got to sculpt?
Well, the main thing I got was, you know, Lilu, her orange costume. I got to sculpt Lilu's orange costume, which was kind of, it was the first time I'd ever worked on where I was sculpting for a costume department, even though I was working for Nick Dudman, because I was working on another project and was brought in halfway when they were in the pre-production phase. And the first thing Nick said to me was, "Oh, can you sculpt up the Lilu costume? We've already had someone do it, but it didn't really work out." So I was given the body cast of Mila, and I said, you know, I think we need to shorten it down, because with silicon, when you're wearing silicon can bag quite difficult. You know, it can look a little bit odd in certain ways. So all the circles on the body were actually like half moons in a way. So when she wears it, it's really tight, so they go into a circle look to them. So that was a sculpt, and then he got molded it in an orange silicon. I mean, this is 1995. It was. He came out in 97. So silicon again was quite in its infancy. So we were using silicon back then that we don't use nowadays. So everything had a bit of a harder working time with it. You know, forever things wouldn't work, or it's what's called leaching, when the silicon leaches its oil. So you're forever trying to patch things up. But I think we made about 20 of them, of the costumes. So, you know, you could always throw them around, put new ones on, because sometimes they would split. But yeah, that was the first thing I'd worked on. And then I was kind of working with other people on the Mangalores, you know, painting heads and just working on them. And I did a whole bunch of stuff that it's weird, you don't even see. When you go to Floston Paradise, all the guests in there have all got these weird little things on their faces, like eyebrow pieces, little cheek pieces,
just alien nuances.
Yeah. And you know, and that was one thing that Jean-Paul Gaultier was always there on the set. So, you know, you'd go there and he would check every single person that walked on set, you know, add this, put this, do that. So I was on that for about, I think, 3 months on the Fifth Element, which was cool. And being on set, you know, that was kind of the first really big film I'd been on one of them sets of the 007 stage. Seeing the scale of it was impressive. Yeah.
It made me a Luc Besson fan for life.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he wanted, because we used to always, you know, whenever Luke had to come into the workshop and approve something, he would always come in prior to filming, so he didn't have, you know, obviously once they're filming he doesn't have chance, so we'd always have to be in there, say 7:30 in the morning, and he would come round, and, you know, he used to come round with his sunglasses on, headphones on, with a pen, and he'd come round, he'd just tick what he liked, you know. He was like, yeah, love it, like that, and then just walk out, and then wouldn't see him again that day. But, you know, he knew exactly what he wanted, because it was all kind of, that film had been kind of pre-designed for years. And all the maquettes, all the small models had all been pre-done in France. So when Nick Dudman had started it, everything had kind of been designed already. So they said, right, this is what we want. We want this, 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 and this. You know, so it was kind of an easier job in one way to build stuff for that reason. But yeah, it was an interesting film because it was a French crew on some of it. You know, all the DOP and the production designer and music, they were all French because they were all Luke's friends.
Well, you know, it was funny because you were, I just expected you to say aliens. I expected you to say pretty much just the aliens. So saying that you did the iconic orange suspenders, I mean, that's pretty cool because that is one of the main images. Like when anyone sees that movie, they remember. I knew exactly what you're talking about. They remember your work immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing as a you know, prosthetic and creature artist, you can get to do all sorts of things. You know, it all depends on the job, and you know, someone will hand you the script or will hand you an idea, and you have to kind of build that. You know, and sometimes it's kind of out of your comfort zone. So that's quite scary sometimes, you know, and I'd never sculpted something where it had to be very clean lined and, you know, everything had to be measured on their body. Because, you know, you'd be putting all the circles on and then you get around the other side and you're like, oh, no, I've hit too close. So you have to clean it and redo it. So it actually took a couple of weeks to mathematically work out all the spacing around them. But it's a lovely thing. Years ago, I used to have one of them suits. It just kind of rotted away. You know, the thing with silicon, they don't last forever, unfortunately. It's like with foam rubber. If you keep it wrapped up in a dark place, maybe it lasts. But generally after 20 odd years, it crumbles. So, which is a shame.
Yeah, I got to see one of the original Ninja Turtle suits and it wasn't doing too well. So
Yeah, it is. You've got to be really careful handling stuff like that because even like oil on your skin, you know, you can pick it and just crumbles away.
It'll just break it down.
Yeah. It's like history just dissolving in front of you.
I mean, that's the beauty of film, though, right? Because it's hopefully preserved forever for future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, my co-host is, I don't want to say obsessed. He's a huge Star Wars fan. So I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. I didn't want it to be the main thing we talked about or the only thing that we talked about, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Star Wars. So fans of the franchise love practical effects. That's part of the magic. And I wanted to know from your opinion, why do you think a practical creature has more emotional resonance than, say, a CGI one?
Partly, I think it's because it's actually on the set. There's a weight thing, you know, the body weight of someone wearing something. You're moving as you would move normally. Whereas I think, I do love CGI, and I think there are some amazing CGI creatures out there. But I think sometimes it doesn't look like it's in the ground or walking. There's a weight thing sometimes, you know. I mean, I always go back to Jurassic Park as, you know, you look at what Stan Winston's guys did and you look at the ILM stuff, and it is beautiful because they shot it, you know, it wasn't in every single shot. You know, nowadays films have thousands of effects, and whereas back then it was all, you know, you only need it for this sequence or for that sequence. And in Star Wars Phantom Menace, you know, we built a ton. Well, it was Nick Dudman. I worked for Nick Dudman, but we all built a ton of creatures that we kind of knew were just going to be in the background. You know, they weren't going to be front and center. Jar Jar Binks was the front and center character, you know, and that was still built as a practical suit. You know, very early on when George Lucas's people had brought the designs in of Jar Jar, were like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is cartoony. You know, but you then go ahead and you build a suit. I mean, I worked on the legs of Jar Jar, sculpting, and we had just like a headpiece that sat here, and then we had the actor perform it. And it was interesting because they did test with a full CG Jar Jar, and then a Jar Jar with a CG head and a human body. And, you know, a lot of people liked the human body look because it had a certain movement. Because obviously it was Ahmed Best walking and doing what he was doing. But obviously we all knew that ILM and George Lucas were pushing to have it fully digital. And I get that. I completely understand, we wanted to test it. And, there is I think there's 2 shots in the whole film, which is the practical suit. One is you see a pair of legs on a table. Another one, I think you see his arm going into the machine on the pod race. But apart from that, everything else was digital, which, so all our creatures were all kind of just at the background all the time. But, it was nice. And it was lovely to, as a child growing up, I was obsessed with Star Wars. I saw the original one when I was 7. So I was absolutely so for me, working on Phantom Menace was like, oh my God, this is weird. It's very weird. There's George Lucas. Frank Oz was a puppeteer in Yoda, and it was a very weird, surreal experience. You've got to kind of, okay, I'm working on a film. Oh my God, it's George Lucas. So
yeah.
And it was cool.
And at that time, we only had the original trilogy. So it was I think there was never a more exciting time to be a Star Wars fan than in 1999.
Absolutely. It was one, because we had just come off another film and we knew we were going straight on to Phantom Menace. And this was, I think it was March 97 we started on it. And we filmed right through to, I think, November 97. We came back, I think, a year later for some pickups. But we had kind of finished that film and then went on and did the Mummy film a year later. And then that came out a month before Star Wars. Which was crazy because the amount of CG that they had to do for Star Wars. You wouldn't get 2 years to do CG nowadays. It's 6 months.
Yeah. We have to be slave drivers to everyone working in that studio, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it was a very cool experience to be on a Star Wars movie. And I know the time, interestingly, Spielberg was doing Saving Private Ryan. So I think a couple of times Spielberg came over just, to see what they were up to, because they were only like 10 miles apart where they were filming. So, which was kind of cool.
That's really cool. I mean, you're personally, if I'm on set and I'm with George, I'm a little scared, but then Spielberg walks in, I'm about to have a heart attack at that point.
I know. It is a bit, there is those moments where you're like, oh my God, that's this iconic person that, it's for me when I've grown up with certain films and I'm working on them films, it's weird. It's very surreal. Yeah.
Right on. Well, you worked on Star Wars Episode 1 and Episode 2, and I wanted to know, for no particular reason than I guess your own enjoyment, which film did you prefer working on?
Well, Episode 2 was all shot in Australia. But what they were doing was with 2 and 3, they would come back to the UK and go to, I think it was Ealing Studios, bizarrely, in West London. And they would come back and they would shoot maybe a month's worth of reshoots. So because we'd worked on the original one, and I think we were doing one of the Harry Potters, maybe, I'm not sure. It could have been a Harry Potter one we were doing, and then we got the call to go and do. So we ended up resculpting a lot, some new creatures for Star Wars. And then we went on set. There's only about 4 of us that went on set to shoot. And it was all on green screen at this point. It was when Samuel L. Jackson was Natalie Portman. It was all the sand stuff flying over the planet where the ships are landing. So we were just having a lot of characters that they were just filling the blanks in. So that was a kind of a different movie to work on. It was like you were there only just to kind of fill the blanks, whereas with Phantom Menace, we were there the whole time. But it was nice coming back, and you had the same actors who wore the creatures in Phantom Menace for Attack of the Clones. But it was just green screen, the whole set, green boxes, green. It was like, wow. And, I think that was the very first time I'd ever worked on a full green screen set. And it was like, this is not nice. It took away all that kind of excitement. Because, Phantom Menace, there were gorgeous sets, and obviously they enhanced it a lot. But yeah, that was the first time I was like, wow, this is it. It's a green set now we're working on. And that was in the space of 3 years, I think. Yeah.
I mean, George always pushed for the new technology, and a lot of people have criticized him for going a little bit too far with the CGI and the prequels, but the movies overall are still great. But I do agree with you. I prefer puppet Yoda from the first version of the Phantom Menace before I guess when Disney bought it, they retouched it for their release.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the ultimate Yoda is from Empire Strikes Back. You know, and we never had. I think Frank Oz had brought the head, but we weren't allowed to touch it. So when it got resculpted, and it's obviously supposed to be slightly younger, which I always thought was quite a funny thing because it's only like whatever 30, 40 years. We're supposed to be 800 years old. It's a bit like if you're 80, then you're 77. It's a bit, you shouldn't look that much different. And the puppet was built in silicon, which I know Frank wasn't happy with because it was too heavy. You know, he really struggled because obviously he's older as well. So he's trying to hold up this puppet, which is now a silicon puppet as opposed to a foam puppet. And silicon generally is much heavier. And I think they were always pushing to go digital with Yoda. They just wanted that practical creature, you know, and one for the fans, and you know, and for us, you know, we were all on set going, I'm going to watch Yoda on set with Frank Oz because, you know, I'm not filming today, but I'm going to go on set and watch it.
I mean, I would. You have to.
Yeah. Oh no, it was one of them. You know, again, it's one of them pinch me moments where you're like, oh yeah, look, it's George Lucas, Frank Oz, and Yoda on set. Yeah, it's very cool, very cool. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's good.
Well, you know, the Harry Potter series and the Star Wars series has a lot of crossover. Warwick Davis obviously has been big in both the franchises. And I was wondering, since you worked on both, was there any creature crossover? If we look real hard in the stands of the pod race, can we see a little goblin from Harry Potter somewhere in there?
No, or the only things we did a film prior to that called Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which we were out in Thailand, and the hands of one of the characters became the hands of one of the creatures in Star Wars. And I can't remember the name of the character that in Mortal Kombat. She's got 4 arms. She's the lady.
I know the
arms.
male version is Goro, but I don't remember her name.
Yeah, so her hand, she's basically like a 3-fingered gloves that she wears. Them hands turned up in Star Wars quite a bit as creature hands. But apart from that, no, we never used anything from Harry Potter. Didn't ever get into like, or vice versa. It just didn't fit those worlds, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, you know, I know different studios, it probably would have never happened, but I was hoping to get like a sneaky little story in there, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, no, it never happened. No, it would have been great.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter in general. So like Star Wars is a creation of George Lucas, and he kind of has an idea of where he wants it, but there's no before he created it really idea of what characters might look like. Why in Harry Potter series there is 7 books and a lot of descriptions of characters. And I was wondering, how do you deal with that where you can still give it your own flavor? How much did you take from the descriptions of the book versus your interpretation of these characters?
Yeah, well, obviously, the first thing you do whenever you like, because I again worked for Nick Dudman, and the one thing about what Nick would do, which was great, was he would assign you a character for the film. So, like for the first one, all the goblins. Generally, we had the art department were kind of overseeing a lot of the designs on the film. So Stuart Craig, who's amazing, he had a great team of concept artists, people like Paul Catlin and Rob Bliss, and they would design stuff. But they designed a lot of the goblins to look as digital characters. You know, so their necks were very thin, their heads were quite elongated. So very early on, Industrial Light and Magic were looking at doing full digital goblins. And then I think they just realized, look, it's going to get too expensive. How can we then pull it back into prosthetics? So we were then given the designs of the characters as they would have been in a CG look. And then we had to kind of retrofit that look to fit onto the actors that were then cast, which is always a bit difficult because, you know, you only work with the limitations of the person's head. You know, but in the first Harry Potter, it was quite outlandish. You know, the backs of heads went quite long, noses were really long on them ones. And, you know, we had to slowly pull everything back in, make it a little bit less fantasy and more realistic. But it was a nice, because we had a bit of time to, you know, concept sculpt them as well. So once the actors' heads were live cast, you would do some very outlandish sculpts, and then you go, okay, this is not going to work. It's going to weigh a ton. And we, you know, again, they were pushing to do silicon makeups. So I think there were 50 goblins in the film, and 8 of them were full silicon prosthetics, which at the time we hadn't done that in the UK before. This was 2000, 2000. So it was, you know, we were working out what the new silicons can be that we can apply onto people, and, you know, have a nose that's this long that can still hold its own weight in silicon. So that was quite an interesting thing to work on. But, you know, generally you're left alone to sculpt them. You know, Stuart Craig, J.K. Rowling never, very, very rarely came in to look at what we were doing for that type of stuff, because, you know, especially goblins, they weren't that big a thing in the you know, in terms of characters. But you know, you would, and then you'd have the producer and the director come in, and they're like, oh, we like this one, we like that one, you know, we don't like this one. So, you know, we'd have all these heads lined up, and then they would pick which ones they go, oh, that could look like Flitwick. So it went that way very quickly. They would pick characters, you know, and because Warwick was, you know, we'd worked with him so often, and he was like, he's perfect to play these characters. But his character changed over the course of the films. His look changed as well.
Pretty dramatically, actually.
It did. Yeah. You know, I think the first, and also when a new director's brought on, their input is like, oh, I didn't like the way that character looked in this film. Can you redesign it? So that's kind of how it works. I know for the 4th one with Mike Newell coming on board, who was lovely. I mean, Mike had never worked on a special effects movie. So he was very much aware of, like, I'm an actor's director. All this blue screen, I have no clue what it's about, you know, and he was very honest about it, which was great. But I was given Mad-Eye Moody to do. So for the first, it was me and Barry Gowan. And Barry now is massive, you know, he's just done the new Masters of the Universe film, all the prosthetics. He does The Last of Us and things. But back then, we were just, me and Barry were working together on Mad-Eye. And we must have sculpted 12, 13 concepts. Because until the actors cast, so before Brendan was cast, we were brought in and just doing kind of mock-ups on kind of people in the workshop, you know. And then when the actor was brought in, when Brendan came in the book, it does explain what his character looks like. And we did very obvious reproductions of the book's design. But then they're like, oh, can you try something different? And then we realized with the eye that Brendan said, oh, I know the eye in the book, I think, is his right eye, but can we have that swap to the left eye? Because my right eye is stronger than my left eye. So that then becomes a J.K. Rowling question, you know, are we okay to switch the eyes around? And then it took months of doing test makeup after test makeup after test makeup for someone to say, that's what Mad-Eye looks like. You know, so we had originally 6 months to design and build. And again, you know, we had the art department designing it. Everyone had to go at designing Mad-Eye. And then it went down to, I think, 2 weeks before filming that we went, okay, because we're like, we need to build this because we haven't got any prosthetics made.
Starting to sweat.
Yeah. And it got a little bit, you know, and the very first day we filmed was the classroom scene where Brendan enters the classroom. And that's a 2-week sequence. And we were literally making pieces the night before. It was a real kind of everyone jumping at it to try and, you know, hair punch the eyebrows and run pieces. But that was quite nervous for me as well, because it was my first big character on Harry Potter that became my character. So it got a little bit scary. I'm thinking we haven't got enough pieces and we're still designing, you know, because the eye was it was 50% mechanical eye,
sure,
and 50% digital eye. So we'd always take the blue away and then the whole white, they could CG whatever they wanted to with the movement. But for us, where the way the cables ran, to be honest, that was a whole nightmare for me, because the animatronic side of it was really messing with my prosthetic side of it. So the animatronics people, I kept saying to them, you've got to help me out, because every time we've got to take the eye out, we've got to remove a portion of the makeup, you know. And they're like, well, you just stick it back on. I said, it's not that easy, you know.
It takes time.
Yeah, you know, so I was constantly rushed. until it was about 2 months into the production that they worked out a different method of how the animatronics worked. But it was that was a hard one for me, that film, that makeup. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank God they were able to collaborate with you and find a way to streamline it.
I know.
Well, you know, with we've talked about a lot of the films that you've done, and even Game of Thrones. You were on season 4.
So I was working on another project, and my friend Barry Gower, that was the first job that he'd gotten as his own team, like BGFX. And he was asking all his friends at the time, can you come and, help out? And I was working, I think I was on Dracula Untold, or I think at the time. And then, but I really wanted to work with Barry. So when the opportunity came, he said, do you want to come on board? I'm like, absolutely. I'm sorry I couldn't come 2 months ago. So I came on to apply one of the giants with Barry and then do all the pre-painting for that one. And then we were working on the White's characters, some of the zombie characters. And then I was doing the child who gets burned by the dragon. And I made this little burnt child.
I was wondering if you had anything to do with that. That was a hard thing to watch.
Yeah. And the director was a bit like this. We need to break him up because it's a bit too uncomfortable to look at, which is always kind of, in it's a weird way. It's like, yeah, it's nice that you get, that it's actually scaring someone, or it's a bit disturbing. Like, you kind of like that. And then I worked on with Barry and Josh Weston on the Three-Eyed Raven, just applying his character, which I think that got the Emmy. That makeup, that episode got the Emmy, so which was pretty cool. Yeah, and then I was asked to come back on the 5th series. And Barry asked me if I wanted to be the workshop supervisor for him. I couldn't do it at the time. I was working on something else. I just couldn't do it. So unfortunately, I didn't work on any of the other Game of Thrones after that, which is a shame.
All right. So I ask everyone this on the show because we are a paranormal and pop culture show. And what we love is cryptids and monsters. And I wanted to know, if you were given an endless amount of money wasn't the issue, and you were told to create a cryptid or mythical monster, what would you create? What is something you've always wanted to build?
Cyclops. I would love, something like the 7 Voyages Sinbad Cyclops is still my favorite Cyclops of all time. And to make a full creature suit of a Cyclops like that would be, I just love. Someone said to me, do you want to build a Cyclops? Yeah, I'd do it for free. It's just the ultimate thing to build a Cyclops. I just love them. Yeah, definitely that one.
Looking back at your entire career, what was the thing that you were the most proud of? Not necessarily the most successful, but like the thing that you created that just was a notch on your belt.
I'd say it would probably be working on Red Skull, for Captain America, First Avenger, because I was brought in by David White to specifically work on Red Skull. So me and Julian Murray were sculpting the character, and working with Hugo Weaving, who's kind of the nicest man you could. He's absolutely true gentleman. He looked after us really well as well. He was lovely person. But just to see Hugo as the Red Skull on set with Chris Evans as Captain America, you're thinking, yeah, that's a pretty decent makeup. Because sometimes you don't kind of see your work in a way. Your mind's always all over the place, and you think, I've got to do this and do. Sometimes you got to take a step back and look at what you've done and go, that's pretty decent. And I think the first time we showed it to Joe Johnston, and for me, things like that, like working with Joe Johnston, who, he'd worked on Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and he designed Darth Vader and, the Snow Walkers. And I'm just thinking, this guy's an icon, and, he's looking at the work that we're doing. Because I was on set every day with Hugo. I was kind of overseeing his makeup every single day, and it was so cool to kind of, because it was a hard makeup to do, because it's such a clean makeup. There's nowhere to hide anything. You can't make a mistake. But it was one of my favorite experiences being on a film set was doing that makeup and seeing kind of Hugo in his full, Red Skull, evil genius character. I love that makeup. Yeah, I love that time working on that film as well on the shoot. It's brilliant.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I wanted to ask, is there anything you want to tell our audience out there?
Yeah, so we in between us working on films, we also have our own prosthetic teaching school, which is called the Prosthetic Studio. So we do that. We're still teaching all the time. And the other exciting thing is, fingers crossed, I'm directing a horror movie at the end of this year in Italy, of all places.
Wow.
It's a film that I've been working on with my writing partner Mark for about 2 years. It's a creature feature movie. Originally all to be shot in the UK. Now we've met some Italian producers and an English producer. We're shooting Northern Italy. We want to shoot in the winter time, so it's going to be early. Probably the earliest is next year. January, February. Want it to be snowy, cold, dark. So we're working on that. We're just doing the second draft of the script at the moment. Creatures. I shot a teaser for it a year ago, and that's kind of what's gotten into people's psyche, so they can see it and they've seen it. And now we're just working on the script, working on the creature designs. I mean, the film is all about creatures, but there's a lot of characters in it. Just think of it as it's Night of the Living Dead without zombies, with other types of creatures. But that concept is the kind of the idea behind this movie. And we've got quite a few $1 million budget to make it, which is great. So I'm writing and directing that and probably overseeing the creatures. I would imagine we'd get a creature department to help as well, to jump on board, because I don't think I'll be able to do that as well as write and direct. But yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah, that's the thing I'm most looking forward to, is directing that film at the end of this year, beginning of next year.
I mean, that's really exciting. Anytime a creature effects artist gets to direct, it's great, because I just love seeing everything you're going to create. And I know you would tell us more if you could, keeping it vague 100%. But when you're like a bunch of creatures, the first thing that popped in my head was a film you did called Unwelcome, because I love the red caps. So
yeah, that was an interesting film, because we made all the creatures, but all the faces then became digital. So we made all these cool masks in expressions, and then the CG people tweaked everything so they could talk, because we were going to do animatronics. But it's a totally different type of film than Unwelcome. It's much more of imagine an 80s Italian horror movie set in the 80s and modern day as well. Start in the 80s, but we want to go for that full-on 80s horror gore creature feature movie. So yeah, that's super exciting. As soon as I'm allowed to say more, I'm going to let people know. But at the moment, I'm not allowed to say the storyline and stuff like that, and the name and things. But yeah, it's
totally.
Exciting.
Well, when you get to a point where you can, we'd love to have you back on. If I can try to get you back on as the director, I want to do it.
No, absolutely, I'd love to. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Well, thank you very much. This was wonderful. And from everyone here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
Take care. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Haha. So there, guys, that was an awesome interview. And Ryan, come on, ginger snaps.
Dude, it was an honor to have that man on our podcast.
But Ryan, ginger snaps.
Ginger snaps. He did incredible work on the monster in that movie. Yeah, great work in Star Wars Episode 1. Of course, Harry Potter. Iconic. What an icon. We just had an icon that you got to interview.
Is he created the suit for Jar Jar Binks? Now, I know a lot of that was CGI'd over, but
still,
like he created a Jar Jar Binks bodysuit.
Dude, honestly, I love Jar Jar. I don't care.
You do.
I love Jar Jar. So anybody who helped bring that character to life, I salute you, and most definitely, sir, I salute this man.
Well, you know what? It was great to have him, and when he does his film and it's directed, and he's going to come back on and tell us about that, a little bit more detail, a little bit of a tease this interview, but that's fine. That'll be great. So I'm not going to lie, guys, we are running a little long, so we are going to jump in right away to our Earth Pop section right now. The Earth Pop Report, talking about everything to do with Earth pop culture.
Woo! Here we go.
Yeah. So, go for it.
All right. Halloween, the game has announced that Laurie Strode, Annie Brackett, Linda Van Der Klock, and Bob Sims from the original 1978 film will be playable characters. The game launches September 8th and will feature both single-player and multiplayer modes.
Yeah, and you know what? It's they've done this before. It's the Friday the 13th game. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
I
game.
liked that one.
And I liked both of them. You know, it's fun. It's matches. You're either
Yeah.
the killer or the humans. You're trying to escape or you're not, and it's like a weird little setting. It's fun.
Yeah, it's an online game. It's fun.
It's Dead by Daylight, basically. But with this one, this is cool because a lot of the characters from the franchises of those other games we mentioned weren't playable. So they're going right off the back. I assume that they're just like, all right, guys, you're gonna be able to play the stars. So that's always good. Who doesn't want to be Laurie Strode or any of those characters?
I mean, right? Yeah, if you're a fan of Halloween, this has got to be sweet.
The only thing I'm anticipating more than this is the Hellraiser game.
Ooh, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It always does. Yeah. Moving on, number 2.
Special effects legend Greg Nicotero
Yeah.
has redesigned the Crypt Keeper puppet to celebrate Tales from the Crypt arriving on Shudder. The project also reunited him with longtime Crypt Keeper voice actor John Kasser, leading to speculation that the franchise may have a future beyond streaming reruns. And we actually got him to give us a shout out, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah.
But so this is awesome because my interpretation of this, honestly, is, hey, you guys, we're putting it on Shudder, and if you give the ratings, if it gets the viewers, then they are going to reboot the show. Because why else would you create it? And why wouldn't they dip their toes in it? They've been talking about doing a reboot of this show forever. So I'm down. I hope they do it.
Greetings, kitties.
The boys and ghouls.
Oh my God. I love them. That was one of my favorite shows growing up, honestly.
I just love anthology shows, except
Yeah.
Black Mirror. Every anthology show is better than Black Mirror. But that's just.
Hey,
Like, oh, there's a chip in my brain that made me think that I was like a living, functioning person, but it turns out I'm a potato. I don't want to hear this.
well, every now and then you wake up and you're a potato. What can you do? So that brings us to 24 Jump Street is officially in development. Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, and Ice Cube are reportedly in talks to return, with Spider-Verse co-writer Rodney Rothman attached to direct.
My only thoughts are we're calling it 24 Jump Street because of the tag at the end of 22 Jump Street, where we were like, they made in the montage 23 Jump Street. Like, to me, are they just joking that it's like, it's been so long, now we're at 24 Jump Street? Will they reference a movie that never existed? I'm intrigued, but I would love to see more movies of these guys. I liked it.
Everybody who loves these movies, I'm sure are going to be excited for this. So, I've got a terrible opinion. I've never seen it. I've honestly never seen any of them.
You just frustrate me so much with how
know.
much crap you haven't seen.
I know.
What is wrong with you?
I
You're like,
haven't
I
seen
was
it."
a brooding metal guy for years and just listened to music.
That's right.
It
It wasn't true.
I'm not gonna watch the movies.
Because too many people liked him, so I don't want it.
Exactly. You angsty little butt munch.
I
Sorry.
was. No, you're not even wrong. Angsty little butt munch. That's
Yeah.
your host here.
To be clear, those were the words I chose because I was trying not to swear. And it's funny because I'm looking over at our producer, Lizzie, and she's still going, I'm like, angsty little butt munch. That was too much. She was so pissed when we did the bit where we were talking about. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Continue.
anyways, so 24 Jump Street is in development. Spider-Verse co-writer Rodney Rothman attached. We'll see what happens there. Bringing us to
number 4, which is purposely number 4 because we're talking about a 4th movie in the franchise.
Harold and Kumar. 4 is officially in the works. Franchise
God.
creators John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg are returning to write and direct, with John Cho and Cal Penn expected to reprise their roles.
Yeah, it'd be weird if you did it without him. I guess you could do it like Dumb and Dumber did and make a prequel with with young kids. They did it. They do weird stuff. Ace Ventura had a 3rd movie. It was called Ace Ventura Jr.
Yes.
And it had this
Like an Andy Milonakis looking kid.
Yeah. He was short and young and a little heavy, and it just didn't feel like that was Jim Carrey's kid at all, by genetics or by chance. It was weird.
Yeah, I didn't put myself through that the same way I didn't put myself through like Son of the Mask.
Son of the Mask had Jamie Kennedy in it.
Yeah, I did not put myself through that either. I love Jamie Kennedy, but just
probably not.
I knew it was bad.
I don't think I saw Son of the Mask.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Harold and Kumar 4.
All right,
I've been waiting. I don't know what else to say.
Too.
I love duos. I love Jay and Silent Bob. I love Harold and Kumar. I love all of them. Bill and Ted, the Cheech and Chong. I'm a duo guy. I made a web series, Fuzz and Malloy. Duos.
And I feel like
Look,
Harold.
It's Joe and Ryan.
That's right.
It's not Joe, Ryan, and Gary.
That's right. Well, Gary. Anyways, so Harold and Kumar, I actually, every single film to me is really good. Especially, honestly, it's weird to me that one of my favorites.
WaffleBot.
I love WaffleBot. Pancakes can burn in hell. Like, oh my God.
So
like,
in the third movie, it was a Harold and Kumar Christmas movie.
And it was so good.
It's surprising to me it's your favorite.
It's literally my favorite.
I think we can all agree that the second one is not our favorite, but the third one was pretty epic.
It was it's one of my favorite Christmas films of all time. Like, it really is. Like, I put that right next to Why Him.
Or Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is the best. You're right. That is the best Christmas film ever made. But anyways, guys, so yes, Harold and Kumar 4. Here we go. Jumping on to number 5.
Number 5.
Chopper 5. Apple TV Plus, haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
Has renewed the horror comedy series Widow's Bay for a second season before the first season has even finished airing. The series stars Matthew Rhys and has quickly become one of the service's breakout genre shows.
Yeah, so it's kind of a spooky little thing. It was described to me as like if the first like 20 minutes of Jaws where it's just a mayor like, no, nothing's wrong, don't worry about it. And it's supernatural and kind of spooky and all connected. Guillermo del Toro loves it. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm interested. I mean, the fact that they renewed it, I mean, at least has the viewership.
And it's not even done.
I'll check it out.
Like premiering, I mean.
Yeah.
So so that's great. No, good for them.
So if you guys have Apple TV, check out that one.
There you go. Second season coming up soon. So that brings us to number 6. Fox has acquired Roku in a deal worth approximately, holy crap, $22 billion. The purchase gives Fox control of one of the world's largest streaming and connected TV platforms. And I confess, I have a Roku TV in my kids' room.
Yeah.
And it gets used constantly.
My parents has a Roku TV. That's how because they don't have a smart TV. They bought it like right before smart TVs became like a real significant thing.
Honestly,
so there's a little USB with the Roku.
I got the Roku straight up TV. It's like no stick needed. It's just that thing. Yeah, it is a smart TV. I got that back just a couple years ago, and honestly, it's pretty sweet. The one thing I'll complain about, if I'm going to complain about it, is I have to restart it every now and then because every now and then it's just like apps don't work. And I'll just be like, okay, restart. And then it'll be like, okay, they work.
All right.
That's it. That's my only complaint. Other than that, it's sweet.
Fair enough. Well, I'm just not really for all this consolidation of giant companies buying other giant companies, especially in the media and entertainment world, but it is what it is. Moving on.
And now we're in the world of, we no longer even talk about hundreds of millions. We are just into 22 billion.
Well, the government also, the government has approved the acquisition of Paramount and WB. Like officially, the government's like, yeah, that's fine. 111, what I think it is billion, 111 billion. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're not going to dive into that right now. Anyway, so that brings us to number 7. Anya Taylor-Joy has joined the hunt for Gollum as a new elf character named Saren.
Yes.
Unlike most characters in the film, Saren was created specifically for the movie and does not come from Tolkien's writings. Joe, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so Anya Taylor-Joy looks like an elf.
She does.
I am totally fine with her playing an elf. She's thin, she's tall, the big eyes, she's fair skinned. It looks like a Tolkien elf. I am 100% in. And I don't mind her playing an original character. It didn't work out so well for Evangeline Lilly because people didn't love her character the way I assume she was hoping she'd be embraced by the fandom. And it being an original character just pretty much means she's going to die in the movie.
Right.
Because she wasn't there for the rest of it. Like, if this is a significant character, why wouldn't have she helped Frodo out in the rings and all that other shit? Because this movie takes place in between, like, yeah. So she's gonna die.
Because we know that we've explained. Because it's so funny. So many people are still confused. I've explained this like multiple times to my coworkers, where they're like, "Oh, well, Hunt for Gollum it's like way before or way after." I'm like, no, it's literally the 17 years that Gandalf spent searching when he hands Frodo the rings. Keep it secret, keep it safe.
Yeah,
and he's like, answers that, like questions that need answers, and he's running around. It took 17 years until he came back, and people don't realize that. So that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
So
literally, if you watch the first 10 to 20 minutes of the first movie in the Lord of the Rings, then watch The Hunt for Gollum, and then jump into the rest of that first movie, that is where we are.
It's literally in the first quarter of the first film.
Yes.
So like, but I wanted to ask you, Joe, because you know way more than me. Could you have thought of a character she could play that actually was made by Tolkien, or would you have just been like, no, go ahead and make one up?
All right, well, so they recasted Aragorn, so why not recast other people?
But this is straight up a new character that's not
but
Tolkien.
you have to let me finish talking.
So forgive me.
So the character that Steven Tyler's daughter played, why wouldn't she just do that? We already have Aragorn.
Yeah.
And Aragorn had a love interest with Elwyn, I believe her name was.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and so why wouldn't, if you already recast him, why not recast her? And you're saying they couldn't have a couple scenes where they're talking. I would have done that. I would have recasted what's her name?
Oh, Steven Tyler's daughter.
Yeah, what's her name?
Something Tyler.
I would have recasted something Tyler.
I would have recasted something Tyler.
To be fair,
Liv
Tyler. To be fair, she hasn't done a lot lately.
No, I was going to say I think she's available.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong
because Liv Tyler. What
about her being available? I didn't want to throw unnecessary shade. I know nothing.
I don't know. Liv's career is dead. No, I don't know if that's true.
Neither. Yeah, we're just making jokes here.
I like Armageddon,
dude. I don't want to close my eyes.
Okay, so Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm in 100%. I don't mind her being an elf. She looks like an elf. And like I said, with the recasting of Viggo Mortensen, I'm just gonna have to let go of who's in this movie and just go along for the ride.
That's where I'm at. I'm ready. I will jump into this one with you. We should see it together, Joe.
Oh, I'd like that.
We should do that,
dude. The last time I saw, all right, so I got to see when the army, the Battle of Five Armies, the last Hobbit movie. I got to see all three of the Hobbit movies in a row at the Chinese theater. It was like a 12-hour event.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was great. I was hanging out with my buddy Shintan from school, and I remember he kept getting frustrated because he's like, "You keep leaving," and I'm like, "Well, I've seen these movies. I'm gonna go out and have a cigarette. I'm gonna go get a bite to eat. I'm gonna come back because it was 12 hours." So
that's a whole day.
I just kept coming in and out, and he was sitting there the whole time. He was a diehard. I
Dude,
guess.
that's impressive.
The Chinese theater was dope, though.
Dude, what a legend.
Yeah,
dude.
Shintan, if you're watching.
All right, guys. So there you go.
Hope you're having fun in India.
Hell yeah. So there you go. Anya Taylor-Joy has joined the hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
So let's look forward to that. Bringing us to number 8, Titan Casket has unveiled concept designs for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed caskets.
Finally.
We know what we're putting Joe in. The company says...
Yeah, a yellow paddle boat that looks like a duck. So you can send me on... But that was the beginning of the episode.
And I get to shoot the arrow if I live.
Although if they actually make these, I might do it.
Okay. All right. So there you go.
That'll be on the pedal boat.
We've got options for Joe's death.
All right.
So the company says the designs are not currently planned for production, but were created as part of its growing line of pop culture inspired products. And honestly, I'm all for this. Like I'm a big fan of people like making silly caskets. Cause I mean, if you're going to do the whole casket route and the dude's a nerd like we are, like, I'm going to need some nerdy stuff. You know?
Dude, you're dead. If you had the money, like, do it. Go for it. Hopefully
Why
your
not?
family respects that, and they're not like, let's get him a regular casket and save the 100,000.
In like a few hundred years, aliens are excavating the Earth after we're all dead and gone, and they unload my cat. They'll just dig in and they find this casket, and it's got like a bunch of Star Wars stuff and a bunch of Pokemon on it. They're just gonna be like, "What a nerd!"
Yeah, but, wow, this guy was cool.
He had no life.
Or you know what, no matter if it was a Ninja Turtle casket, like let's say they actually do manufacture these and enough people get them, that what would their hypothesis be? They'd be looking here and be like, wow, this must have been a deity that certain people followed.
No.
They would, yeah. The Ninja Turtles could become deities in the future.
So Egypt,
science.
Everything in Egypt was just their own Star Wars movie. Like everybody had Star Wars on their caskets and everything like that.
To be fair, how would we know the difference? How would we know the difference if there was someone who, like, what if someone, and I'm not going to pick on anyone, but what if these holy books, or at least one of them, was straight up just like their Lord of the Rings? Like, who's to say, like, if humanity was destroyed and all that was left was a book of freaking the Lord of the Rings, wouldn't they think that was our beliefs?
Why am I imagining?
They're like, and Frodo lived thousands of years ago and sacrificed himself for the ring. Oh, like, come on.
And then I'm imagining.
And you think because we believe in aliens, we're crazy. Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm imagining like the presentation of like Star Wars, and they're doing the opening credits. So it's just like a bunch of dudes with elongated tablets that have been chiseled, and they're like one by one walking by. Like so that they can do the scrolling up.
Maybe.
You know?
It's possible, man.
So we never knew. So everything that we thought was like religion.
It's less Star Wars and more the Christmas special at the end with Life Day.
Right.
All holding cans.
So this whole time everybody's been making religions. It was just a fun story and it just got taken way out of proportion.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So that brings us to lucky number 9.
We solved the world.
We did. We just did, guys. You're welcome. A sealed copy of the original Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System has sold for a record-setting $3 million. The sale is believed to be one of the highest prices ever paid for a video game.
You have too much money.
A sealed copy of the original Super Mario Brothers for the original Nintendo system. I see it. I see the value there.
I don't. I have a unsealed copy that still works. And you know what I'll get for that? Not millions.
Not millions.
I don't care that it's, oh man, it's like, I do collect things, but like, that is too much money. That is too much money. Open an orphanage. Like, what are you doing?
That's right. That's right.
Why don't you pay for tuition for like a couple kids? Like, what are you doing? You're not going to open it. The thing is about this collectible is it's going to go on a freaking wall or a safe. It's not like you're ever going to play it. So just, if you have so much money that you can throw away millions of dollars on a 45-year-old video game, holy crap, pay for somebody's food stamps.
Honestly, Joe, we are solving a lot of the world's problems on this week's episode. I hope you guys are taking notes.
This is what I'm saying.
So, thank you, Joe. Well done.
Moving on.
So, moving on. Right on to number 10, which is unfortunately, our last Earth pop culture event. Film critic Gene Shalit has passed away at the age of 100.
He made it to 100, guys.
He did.
I mean, that's pretty good. And you guys, if you're wondering who Gene Shalit is, he was the movie reviewer who had the black mustache.
Very recognizable.
What you would know him from is pop culture, like
Family Guy. Yeah, he's like, I'm Gene Shalit now. Yeah.
But he was a fun guy. He was.
Yeah. And he spent decades as a fixture on NBC's Today Show and became famous for his trademark mustache, puns, and movie reviews. We here at the Earthling Entertainment Podcast salute you, sir.
We salute you. And with that, we are done with Earth Pop, which is all on this planet. So let's leave this planet. Let's move on. Let's go to our next segment, which is, of course,
Disclosure Discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
Is a 1971 intelligence report the UFO smoking gun we've been waiting for? On June 8th, former Air Force officer and intelligence veteran David Grush appeared on Capitol Hill urging release of a 1971 Australian intelligence review, as he described as the smoking gun on UFO reality. He said that the document details CIA involvement in analyzing propulsion systems from craft some officials considered extraterrestrial. Grush also expanded on earlier statements claiming the U.S. government is aware of multiple forms of non human intelligence, ranging from bipedal beings to sentient plasmoid life.
Now, guys, this is not the same as the other report we were spoken about, where they said there was 4 main aliens, which is the
Correct.
Nordic, the reptilians, the Greys, and the insectoids. So this is something completely different here.
Yes, and this is from a different person as well. David Grush has pretty much been the forefront on these congressional hearings that we've been seeing about UAP. So, to explain, the 1971 Australian Intelligence Review was authored by O.H. Turner of Australia's Joint Intelligence Organization. The review traced U.S. UFO investigations from 1947's Project Sign through Project Blue Book. It alleged an agency, almost certainly the CIA, pursued the design and propulsion data and suspected interplanetary spaceships, while public facing programs downplayed the phenomenon. The review linked intelligence interest in UFO performance to U.S. aerospace projects such as Avrocar and anti-gravity research, and suggested that some officials fear that the Soviet mastery of such technology already.
Yeah, because there's obviously been a lot of crashes in Russia, and they're
Yes,
just as secretive as us, if
that's
not
right.
more.
So Grush also mentions sentient plasmoid life, which is where I really wanted to focus, because I realized we really didn't cover the subject, and there's so much about it, guys. We have so much proof. Plasmoids are self-illuminating, pulsating, plasma-like UAP, UFO that have multiple shapes and sizes. They are attracted to electromagnetic activity and travel at different velocities from different directions, making 90 to 180-degree turns instantaneously. They have been witnessed colliding into other plasma and have been filmed by U.S. Navy personnel and U.S. Customs flying above and diving into the ocean. Plasmoids have also been observed shape-shifting and splitting into additional shape-shifting UAPs, which I've actually seen. I've seen videos of this.
Right on.
They have been witnessed by NASA hovering near space shuttles, satellites, including the International Space Station. They have been reporting congregating above and descending into thunderstorms and the lower atmosphere, which is the air corridor favored by commercial and military aircraft. This may account for reports of plasma UAPs toying with aircraft, which I wanted to say at this point. I didn't feel like including it, but we talked about it. The Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Where during World War II, during all the dogfights, multiple of these were seen.
On all sides.
Plasmas negatively affect electronics, which we heard about from the Foo Fighters. It was messing with all of their...
Well, not just that. Anytime anyone talks about getting abducted by UFO, they talk about like their lights going out or their compass spinning or something like that. So, yeah.
And mental activity, possibly inducing hallucinations of alien abduction. So that's up for interpretation, I wanted to say.
It's a mixed bag when they say, oh, it causes you to imagine things. Then
Or
it's like, well,
did
then
it?
nothing is credible.
Or did it really? Or is it like the whole thing about if you believe in souls, did it abduct like your soul? Is like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's
like
a,
your consciousness is what I would go with, but I hear what you're saying.
like
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. There's a lot to debate.
your brain was downloaded and you were just going, ooh, kind of like From. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they have been seen.
By the way, have you seen From?
No.
Oh my God, watch From. All
Okay.
right, we'll move
Okay.
on.
So
That's
they.
like a whole thing.
Oh, okay.
It's not aliens. It's I think elder gods. It's hard to tell. Continue.
Sounds good. All right, I'm gonna check out From, guys. Check out From. So they've been witnessed passing through glass, plastic, metal, and they enter the cockpits of airplanes. They've been seen, and they've been observed by astronauts.
Hello. Oh my God.
They've been seen inside of spacecraft, the MIR and the ISS.
Yeah, well, this is creepy. If the whole world is simulation, what if this is just the cursor?
Oh,
Right?
And I wanted to mention, because I just wanted to mention because I saw it. So the war.gov or whatever just released a third slew of UAP videos, and I was looking through them, and a few of them were plasmoids. They were straight up there was one that really stuck with me, and I'll send it to Joe. We'll post it later.
Yeah.
And it was 2 orbs right over each other, passing through the sky, and they're plasmoids. They're what we're talking about right here. So it is hypothesized that given their propensity to collide, plasmoids may be responsible for at least some of the unexplained aircraft disasters that we've seen throughout these decades. Plasmoids appear to purposefully interact and engage in complex behaviors, and it is suspected that they are sentient, as David Grush had suggested. That was just July 6th. That just happened this month, 2026.
But are they sentient, like
June
intelligent
6th,
humans, or are they just like dolphins?
Exactly. They are sentient and represent a 4th domain of life. The word sentient means having the ability to perceive, feel, or experience sensations. It is the basic capacity to experience things like pain, pleasure, warmth, or cold through one's senses. Because a being is sentient, it does not necessarily mean it is intelligent or even self-aware. Are these plasmoids extraterrestrial, or had they been here the whole time? The pursuit of disclosure, my friends, continues.
They've been here the whole time.
That's what I wonder. Is this just like space plasmoid puppies?
This is just like the atmospheric beast we were talking about. Just another name. Yeah.
It's just another, and I love where it said a 4th domain of life. And I've said this before, I believe, on the podcast, that I believe that there's just so many things that we just don't understand. We can't perceive. Maybe we get a glimpse of it just by sheer luck of whatever. We don't even know. What if there's a storm in their dimension that we don't understand, and we can kind of get a glimpse? And
you're right. You're working on some theories there.
You have and who knows? And that's why I was really, really excited for this one, guys. I really like this one.
I liked it too. Hey guys, do you have a theory? We'd love to hear it. Just hit us up at Earthling Entertainment Podcast at gmail.com or any of our socials.
Please.
And with that, we're going to jump into our final section of the day.
Let's get weird.
Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, when something is strange and unusual, but not paranormal, and actually happened and didn't, not a movie or show, it belongs in Real World Weird. And we got a couple for you today. Check it out.
Real World Weird.
Wub Wub versus Bug Bug.
That was the silliest name I could think of, and it'll make sense. Hold on, and it's not, but it's like wub wub. It's
just
not,
wait.
No, like wub, 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 that kind of wub wub. It's fine. Yeah,
I like it. Okay,
yeah. I'm clever.
Scientists in Malaysia made a discovery that sounds completely made up. Playing Skrillex may actually mess with mosquitoes.
It's not made up. I actually had to look it up. There's several reports.
Okie dokie.
I thought it was bullcrap, so I wanted to make sure.
Well, here we go, guys. Let's figure it out. In a 2019 study published in the journal Tropica, researchers played Skrillex hit "Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites" for Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. The species known for spreading dengue fever, Zika, and yellow fever.
None of those are good. Do you remember a few years ago, everyone was freaked out about Zika? Like it makes your baby's head swollen or something?
Don't get me started. I literally was in Mexico when Thorin was conceived.
And you're like, oh, great.
And I got bit by a mosquito and I was really sick.
All right. Well,
yeah, it was a thing.
All right.
We were worried.
You should have played Skrillex.
I guess I should have.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the mosquitoes exposed to the music were slower to bite, fed less often, and mated significantly less than mosquitoes kept in silence. So are we trying to say that Skrillex just doesn't turn the mosquitoes on? They're just like,
They're like, it's not doing it for me. I got a headache.
yeah.
I'm feeling
So researchers believe the song's chaotic mix of extremely high and low frequencies interferes with the insect's ability to communicate and locate hosts using wing beat vibrations. Before you start blasting dubstep in your backyard, the study was conducted under controlled laboratory conditions, so there's no proof it works as a practical mosquito repellent. Still, it's hard not to appreciate
That's just them covering their own butt.
They are.
They're just like, we can't legally say this will work, but it'll work. It'll work. You gotta do it.
Just people just don't like Skrillex, man. Just stop hating.
Do you know what the only thing I know about Skrillex is like Korn did some things with Skrillex. That is my only knowledge.
Shut the blank up, get it up.
I mean, I could tell because of that. It sounds like it was when dubstep was big.
Yeah, dubstep is awesome. Let's face it, dubstep is sweet.
Let's face it.
And now we know that dubstep is even sweeter because mosquitoes hate it, and anything that mosquitoes hate is instantly awesome because screw mosquitoes, right?
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but
am I right?
Yeah,
we can get rid of them. It's okay. The bats will find something else to eat. So still, it's
10 years in the future, bats eat us.
Still, it's hard not to appreciate the fact that somewhere in a scientific journal, researchers seriously documented that Skrillex apparently made mosquitoes less interested in both food and sex. And let me tell you, I can kind of agree. So I guess me and mosquitoes have something in common.
Yeah, you both suck.
They were bloodthirsty. So, all right, that brings us to number two. Number two, Yale's Secret Wizard Library.
You want Hogwarts in America? Forget Fantastic Beasts. Go to Yale.
One of the strangest collections in America isn't hidden inside Area 51 or buried beneath the ancient castle. It's sitting inside Yale University. Should have known.
Yep, I figured.
The Bionic Rare Book Library is home to the Mellon Alchemical Collection, one of the world's largest collections of alchemy manuscripts.
Yeah, so you're trying to turn lead into gold? This is how we do it.
The collection began when wealthy socialite Mary Mellon became fascinated by alchemy after encountering the ideas of psychologist Carl Jung. She spent years acquiring rare manuscripts from across Europe before her death at just 41 years old. Among the collection's treasures is the legendary Ripley Scroll, a nearly 30-foot-long illustrated manuscript covered in dragons, strange symbols, mysterious vessels, and cryptic instructions said to describe the creation of the Philosopher's Stone. Only a handful of similar scrolls survive today. The collection contains centuries-old texts on alchemy, transmutation, secret knowledge, and humanity's quest to turn ordinary metals into gold. While modern scholars study these works as important historical documents, the people who wrote them believed they were uncovering the deepest secrets of the universe. So, the next time someone tells you magic isn't taught at Yale, technically, they're right.
No, they're not.
But Yale does own one of the world's most famous collection of books written by people who were absolutely trying to figure all that magic stuff out.
I believe it, man. There's all kinds of sci-fi shows like this. There's the Librarians where they have like all the hidden artifacts. Indiana Jones does it. Oh, Warehouse 13. Remember that one?
That was a good one.
That was. Thank you very much. Well, we are actually going to get the guy who played Pete Latimer on in like 2 weeks. Do you know that?
Oh, foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. His name is Eddie and he's the nicest dude. But that's not important right now. What's
Sweet.
important right now is Yale teaches magic.
They do.
Go to Hogwarts.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Yale.
You know, what house are you guys? What house are you guys? Comment. If by this point you've gotten to the video on YouTube and you haven't commented, comment what house you are. I'm Hufflepuff. What are you?
I guess Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw. You are so effing Ravenclaw. Okay, thank you guys. We really want to know what you guys are. All right, so remember to comment on this YouTube video. So that brings us to number 3, the Neon Nightmare.
Wow, that sounds like a dope name.
It does.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. The Neon Nightmare. It's a wrestler. I am the Neon Nightmare.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Brother.
Dude, yeah. I love it. I love it.
Continue. It's a spider. Spoiler. Continue.
Scientists exploring one of Africa's last great biological mysteries have uncovered something that looks like it belongs in a science fiction movie. During a February 2026 expedition to Angola's remote Lizima Plateau, researchers discovered a crowned crab spider that glows an eerie electric blue under ultraviolet light.
I feel like it's kind of cheating because my teeth glow under violet light. Does that
And
mean?
so do scorpions.
Yeah, so but anyways, it's fine. He glows. You know what? This ties it
It's
together.
fine. He glows.
It ties
Yeah,
it to-
glow.
It ties it together with our spooky stuff. That's all I was gonna say.
I love it.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Bioluminescence.
See, well-planned show, just saying.
That's right, guys. Seamless. Stranger still, scientists don't actually know why it glows. The expedition documented more than 100 dragonfly and damselfly species, along with dozens of insects potentially new to science, including armored crickets that can spray defensive fluid on attackers, and a spider that mimics a toxic ladybug to scare away its predators.
Bugs are scary.
So the
is
spider's
why-
like that ladybug has way more freaking aura than me. I'm gonna mimic him.
Well, you know what, man? If Starship Troopers has taught us anything, it's that they're all trying to kill us.
They really are. So after decades of being largely unexplored due to remoteness and Angola's long civil war, the plateau is proving that our planet is still hiding some truly bizarre secrets.
Truly bizarre. And that's
Falsely.
it. That's it. We're done. That was our real
Episode
world
of
weird.
Earthling Entertainment, this
Well,
whole
it's just
podcast thing we do.
The real world weird. I just I feel like I failed you guys. I'm sorry. That's why I got a little surprised. I didn't think they were weird enough. I mean,
They were
it's like-
pretty weird.
I mean, Yale having secret books. I mean, so does the Vatican. Why are we talking about that? You know, like a spider that glows. Like, okay, well, like you said, scorpions glow. It's like
Rebelio. Right?
Revelio.
Oh, Joe just got attacked
Oh my God.
by a teddy bear.
Thanks, guys. I wanted something weird to happen, and you know what? It did. Thanks, universe.
Well, there you go. So the paranormal evidently is existing in our studio today.
Poltergeist.
Evidently. But
No.
guys, unfortunately, I think this brings us to the end of this week's episode.
It does.
Thank you for tuning in. For all of our returning listeners, thank you guys. For new listeners, please remember to hit that download button. It's the best way to help the podcast out.
That's right. Download on anywhere you get the audio version of this podcast. But if you're checking out the video version, hit the subscribe button. And from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, see you next week.
And goodbye.